Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SpawnCast episode 196. We're missing Sean again. He said on Twitter he wasn't feeling well, so he just took 3 weeks off, I guess, in a row.
Man, Sean's ducking me. Like every time I'm back on the show, Sean's not here. What's going on? Sean, if you're watching, what's
he actually
happening?
privately said you suck.
Yeah, I need to chat with that boy.
We do have MVG back. MVG actually is part of the OLED family now.
Yes, got the LG CX. I'm part of the family now. I thought I knew what HDR was for like the last 3 years, 4 years, but now I know what HDR is. So it's great to have a decent TV in the house.
Yes, that CX is nice.
Did you try out the Xbox Series X on the?
Oh yeah. Oh well, I got the Series S, but it's still, man, it still looks really good.
Oh man, that's HDR. Xbox Series, that's HDR. Me too. I thought I was like, yo, I thought I seen HDR before. No, that's HDR, man. Like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, it is a really good TV. So we got MVG back. Miss Click is also tonight. She'll be back next week as well. We do have Max, Dreamcast guy, with us tonight. How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm playing a little bit of Final Fantasy 9 on my other screen. I have to get these last trophies.
Finishing it up. Okay, got it. Nice. Then we have Nate. Nate's back with us.
Yes.
Good to have you here, Nate. Good to have you with us because we got a bunch of things to talk about for 2021 mostly. So I figured you might have a few things you want to throw in there. Promise of Silent Hill again, all of that.
I promise nothing.
Then we have OJ, Player Essence. What's going on?
What's up? I'm gonna take about 15 seconds to say that the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Online fan base is the worst, most fraudulent fan base of all time. That's all I gotta say. That's it right now.
There's no way you're just figuring this out now. Like,
I'm solidifying it that these people are fraudulent. They don't ever want to get better. It is the worst. There's so many of them. These damn kids with their Capri Sun and their orange wedges eating Super Smash Bros.
on the
and
McDonald's
running
Wi-Fi,
away after one match.
McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Well, they fixed it to where it's a little bit better, or it's better now, so you don't have as many crappy matches in a row. But anytime that we do get one, whether I win or I lose, they run. They run after one match. Yeah, they don't play a set. They don't play a set. They're horrible. Seriously, it's the worst. I had 10 in a row when I streamed on New Year's. 10 in a row. Sorry. Okay, but I'm doing good. Other than that, I'm doing fantastic.
Okay, good. And then we got Evan.
Yep.
How's it going, Evan? Evan back with us tonight.
Watching stream like a hawk. Hopefully it doesn't crash this weekend.
Yes, that's the big thing there. Hopefully Comcast has something figured out over there.
Last weekend was OBS, but I think I figured it out. But we'll see.
Okay. Very good. So we're in 2021 now. We made it. This is the first SpawnCast of 2021 now. So I figured tonight we'll go over the year coming up for all three companies, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony. So we'll go over all their systems that are out and what they have planned, which does also include the Switch's 5th year, which I thought about that the other day. I said, wow, we're about to complete 4 years of the Switch already. That'll be in March. And it does not feel like it's been that long with this system. So that is interesting stuff there. But we're going to talk about some video games first. We can do that real quick. What do we play? Anyone play anything good? Just throw it out there.
I've been going back and I'm trying to, before the proper review season starts, I've been trying to just go through and do a bunch of runs through old Final Fantasies. So this week I randomly beat Final Fantasy VII again. Man, that game holds up. The original is still a masterpiece. Played on Switch, PS4, Xbox. It's on everything now. Still such a freaking banger.
It is very, very good. Yes. Yeah, that's why now I'm excited to see where the next Final Fantasy VII goes, part 2, just because it's like it's going to be completely different, new, and all of that. So
yeah,
I'm ready for that at this point. What about MVG? Because you're gonna kick us off with a certain game, because I got something to say about it too.
So I'm going through backlog stuff at the moment. So over the holiday, I picked up Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I'm playing now. I know I'm late to the party on this game, but it's really, really good. As you guys know, it's a great game for the PS5. Looks absolutely incredible. If you like those Insomniac Spider-Man games, you're gonna love this. I can see that it's a short game. Like, I'm already sensing that it's going to be over before I know it. But I'm really enjoying it. And I also played about 10 hours of Cyberpunk 2077 on the PS5. And that is a bit of a mess, to be honest with you. I'm not
So you're already done with it. You're done with it now. You said you're shelving it.
Yeah, I'll probably wait for the patches to come out, and even when the patches come out, I don't know if I'll go back to it, to be honest. Honestly, like Jeff Grubb's review of the game where he gave it a 3 out of 5, and some people say it's a 60%, whatever you want to say he gave. I went back and read his review, and I specifically read the points where he was saying there's only really, every mission has just a certain way to accomplish it. It's not like Deus Ex where there's like about 5 to 7 or 10 different ways to finish a mission, whether you use stealth or whatnot. It just seems like everything is kind of predetermined, and I kind of agree with that. And I wasn't really having fun playing the game. I didn't think the story was that interesting, at least the main story. Some of the side missions were pretty interesting, and that's what kept me going. But compound that with obviously all the bugs, and the PS5 is probably, well, other than the PS4, the base PS4, which looks like a dog's breakfast, the PS5 version is notorious for crashing, right? So I was getting that, those crashes every 2 hours, on pretty much on time, that every 2 hours I'd get a crash. So that was frustrating the hell out of me. So I just thought, look, this game, I get it. I get the discourse with this game, and look, it's an absolute mess, and they just need to fix it. I don't want to talk about Cyberpunk again. I know we talked about it a lot at the end of last year, but I'm not really enjoying the game. I don't know if I'll play it again. Other than if they do patch it and they fix it properly, I may take another look at it, but I'm not really interested in finishing the game, honestly.
I think at this point, so I'm basically tapping out of Cyberpunk now. I double checked earlier today. I think about 37 hours, and I'd say like it took me just over 20 hours to beat the game. So the rest of that's all been doing other things outside of the main story itself. So I go around completing like some of the main side character, I guess we call them, their quest lines. I'm going through them, but like I'm doing some of the side quests outside of that. It's feeling very much the same kind of thing over and over. So I think up to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'll just wait until they have their next gen versions out, and then I'll maybe check in on again. But I just don't have like the drive anymore to keep playing through it. I think I'm good. I think I got my experience out of Cyberpunk now.
Honestly, John, I played another playthrough of Resident Evil 3, and I had more enjoyment playing through that game than I did with Cyberpunk. Like, I just ran through Resident Evil 3, beat it in 4 hours.
I was going to say, that was the best
it's
4 or 5 hours ever.
Game, but it was fun as hell, and it was a much better 4 hours than any part of Cyberpunk that I had played at that point.
That's because it works. I mean, that's definitely something that you need to have. Working would be great.
Yeah. They're going to relaunch the game next at the end of this year. I feel like they're going to launch it again as PS5. And what they're going to do, I think, is they have free DLC coming up. That's apparently happening like in the next month or two, I think, the way they're talking about it. So they'll probably have like 2 or 3 DLC drops. And then by the end of this year, they'll launch the PS5 and the Series X and S version. And they'll call it like Cyberpunk 2077 Complete Edition or something. And they'll just put it out there. They'll sell that at retail, but for everyone who already owns it, they'll just get it. So that way they can still put the PS5 box art out there for it. So that's most likely what I think they're going to do. But I mean,
a good word for it.
It's what No Man's Sky did. Like they eventually came out with the next version, right? And it's basically was what a lot of people bought when it first came out, but like fixed and stuff added to it and everything. So they'll sell it again. And at the end of, really at the end of it, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be like a 30 some odd million unit seller. So for them, I guess it was a success. I don't know. We'll see how things go when Witcher 4 gets announced. That'll be the curious thing, how people treat CD Projekt Red when they announce that compared to how they would have if Cyberpunk didn't exist. But yeah, that was kind of what I was doing. And then I did go back to Age of Calamity after I tapped out of Cyberpunk midway through the week. So I'm still playing that. I moved it over to hard mode a few hours in, OJ. It did help.
It did help. It helps a lot.
After I saw your tweet about that, I had only played like 4 or 5 hours at the time when you tweeted that out. I was like, I'll change over to it, and it does help. I just the Warriors. I will say this: if it wasn't Breath of the Wild themed, I probably wouldn't be playing the game.
I don't play the other games. I legitimately don't play the other games either.
Yeah,
I only play the themed ones.
Yeah, I don't really look at like Dynasty Warriors like that. It's the Warriors formula wears on me if I didn't have something like Persona Persona 5 Striker is going to come out. I'm gonna play that because it's Persona themed. But like Dynasty Warriors, like I don't know, what are we on right now? What is it? Dynasty Warriors
9,
like 9 or 10 or something like that. I don't know. They're gonna announce that. I'll be like, all right, and I'll just move on from it.
The thing with Persona 5, it's going to be a completely different thing because Persona 5 only has a few of the elements of the Warriors games. Like there's times like where you go, you fight people, but for the most part, you're going through dungeons, you're platforming, you're doing. It's not a Warriors game where you have like capture these strong points, drop you in a map. It's not structured like Hyrule Warriors at all. There's just some elements where they let you fight a bunch of people, but then other times you're going through the dungeons, you're gathering treasure chests. It's like just think of like an action RPG. Think of Persona 5, but it was an action RPG. That's what Strikers is. Yeah, that's why it doesn't have Warriors in the title. Otherwise, it would have been called Persona 5 Warriors. But it's not that. You don't have a fat cast of characters that you can like the Warriors games have. Like Hyrule Warriors has that, and you don't have that. You just have your cast. They have like one extra. There's like one weirdo girl that's in the game, but there's not a ton of people to where you can choose from there. So think of it just like think of it like an action RPG with some parts where you're fighting a bunch of enemies at times.
But I have to say that it looks, I mean, it does look in the footage I've seen and stuff. I think it looks a little, I guess, would be focused than what I see with Age of Calamity. I mean, like focused in terms of gameplay, like you're saying, you're going through kind of like dungeons and it's more condensed on the characters you have kind of from what I was seeing. So that makes sense. That makes sense.
It's an action art. It's just like with some Warriors elements. It plays like a Warriors game at times because like I said, there is open, but like even like when you're out there like fighting a bunch of enemies, like you can jump on top of like light posts. And like you can do weird like action strikes, right? So they even change things up from how it plays normally on a Warriors game. Like even if you were just like to take those scenes, so it's pretty cool. But I don't consider it really a Warriors game just because you're not capturing those outposts, you're not doing those things. Like you're just going through like an RPG. It has a really crazy kind of story kind of mixed into it as well. So it is a bit different. It is a bit different. But I'm making a big video on that so let people know because the demo's out. If you have a Japanese account, you can play the demo and you can see it on there. So.
Yeah. Very nice. All right, cool. Very good. And then I am starting to go back to some of the backwards compatible games here and there, MVG, like you were talking about before. I was on the PS5. I was like, I'll go check some out. So I fired up Dying Light again just to check that out because I like that game from back in the day. And they keep updating it. They've been updating it quite a bit. And Dying Light 2 looks, from some of the previews they've shown, I'm a little concerned because it looks super ambitious. And now I get the flashes of Cyberpunk in the back of my mind when we talk about these really ambitious games. Dude, I mean, from what they've shown, it looks really good. But again, I get a little concerned about Cyberpunk, like an ambitious game kind of turning out like that. But it still looks good-ish on the PS. I mean, it's an older game, but the DualSense does, it'll change the lights around it to different colors depending on what you're doing in the game. So that's still compatible, like the light bar was on the PS4 controller, and it runs at like as good as it can with what it's given for the PS4. So I was enjoying that. What about Nate over there?
I think all I've really played this week is some Gears 5 Team Deathmatch.
Oh, interesting.
That's it.
Just on and off, just playing multiplayer.
Yeah, hop on, I play a few matches, rank up, get prestige, re-roll, and play a few more.
No weird indie games, nothing like that.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, easy enough. All right, cool. What about OJ over there?
Yeah. Actually, nothing really too different from what I've been playing. Played a lot of Smash. That's where my frustration came from. Playing Smash and trying to get the last few characters to lead. I just have the Shotos and the Mii characters to get to Elite Smash. Everybody else is in. So that was just kind of weird and frustrating. Ryu and Ken, they operate different. Like you can put in like the inputs like Street Fighter. Like to get like a power bump, you can still use the B button to do their specials. But if you actually do like the double quarter circle, or you actually do like the half quarter circle or full half circle, like you can actually get like extra power from like their Tatsu or from their Shoryuken or Hadouken. So like I try to do that, but putting inputs in on the game controller for like Street Fighter inputs is not something that I'm used to. Have you
been getting weird input? The reason I played them all the time before I quit, and I would always get these weird input buffers where you would, even though they're supposed to be facing and doing the move at the person, they would go the other way for like no reason.
I think they got rid of that in a patch, so that didn't happen to me.
I was still
much.
doing it when Terry came out because I was trying it there too.
Yeah, they've updated quite a bit since Terry, so I didn't have that for myself. So I didn't experience that, but I mean that might still be happening, but I just didn't experience it myself. But yeah, I just suck with them. So I mean, like that's really what it comes down to. I just need to practice a bit more. But I also played some more Indivisible, and I got Grandia in the mail too. I also got Grandia, and I also went back to Ghost of Tsushima on PS5 and was playing that just a little bit. Went back just to kind of go through. The 60 frames is really nice. I did my top 10 games, of 2020, and that really helped it sneak in there, for me at least, because I wasn't as big on the game, but I actually really I'm enjoying the hours that I've put in playing it at that better frame rate and everything. Although it's still great without it, but Ghost of Tsushima was really good. Still been playing Persona 5 a bit as well. Been kind of getting through that. There's
that game takes forever to get through.
Oh man, there's just so much content in the game, and like I do everything in the Persona games. I always do everything in them. So Persona 5 has been good on PS. I've been playing on my PS5. Been playing Ghost of Tsushima on my PS5, and I actually picked up Days Gone. So that finally came in the mail. For some reason, it took forever to come in the mail, and I started that up just a little bit on there. I mean, it seems like it's gonna be okay, but
the mail's all kinds of messed up recently. Like you order something, it takes forever.
I'm still waiting for my Astro City to get here. I know everyone else.
Oh wow, that's really.
Yeah, still waiting for mine.
Yeah, so it's taken a little bit of time, but I didn't put too much time into any of those. I just kind of, like I said, I put Ghost of Tsushima in for a little bit, put Persona 5 in for a bit, Days Gone just for a little bit. So it was good to actually boot up my PS5 again and kind of play a little bit on there in the little bit of free time that I did have. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. So it was cool. It's cool.
What about Evan over there?
Mostly busy work this week, trying to get through the shirt. The only thing I've really had time to play is just the 1 or 2 hours I usually put into Genshin every day.
That shirt's looking good though. Yeah, how many people do you need to finish up with?
I gotta double check, but I think the number's around like 6 or 7 left, and then I gotta make sure the logo's good, and then it's all about layout after that.
And everyone's gonna fit on that shirt.
Yeah,
that'll be cool.
Well, it's supposed right now. The one that I'm working on is supposed to be an all-over print hoodie, so we're gonna be all over it, sleeves, everything. Like, there's enough room.
That'll be interesting to see. See how that goes. Very cool. We got a Discord question over, Evan.
Let's go with. Does anyone unironically play Tomb Raider anymore? All I see is it being played for benchmarking.
Which one? Any particular one? I liked Rise of the Tomb Raider. Shadow, I was like, it wasn't as good as Rise, but it was just an average game. I like Rise of the Tomb Raider more, me personally.
That's the first one, right?
That's the second one, because there's Tomb Raider from 2013, I believe. It's just called Tomb Raider.
It's called Tomb Raider, yeah.
And then they went to Rise of the Tomb Raider and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
which is part of PlayStation Plus this month coming up, going next.
Oh yeah. I beat the entire new trilogy, and I think they're good games, but they're also kind of forgettable. Like, I think they were fun. I enjoyed finishing them, but yeah, they are the kind of thing of like they're not as memorable as the old school Great Adventures were.
I think the first one was really memorable for me because they would just, for like Tomb Raider growing up, you saw Lara as almost like this this like superhero character, but like in the Tomb Raider when they rebooted it, they just beat her up like crazy.
Yeah,
like it was super violent, and it was like kind of shocking at the time. I was like, wow, all right, they're going there with that. But otherwise, Rise of the Tomb Raider, that was probably my favorite out of the three.
And you could actually raid tombs in that game as well.
Yep.
Some of the puzzles were okay in it, yeah. But I guess I haven't played it in a while. I don't know. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is just going to show up on the PlayStation, but I have it on the Xbox already. So
I hope people play it, even if they don't beat it. It actually has some interesting like camouflage mechanics and stuff. I mean, it's decent. Spend an hour on it, forget it.
Yeah, that it's going there to PlayStation Plus also is Maneater. So I'm hoping people try that one out too, because I actually liked that game a bit. It was all right. It was an all right game. I played it on the Xbox. So we got another Discord question, Evan.
What do you think it will take for PC games to incorporate haptic feedback and adaptive triggers? Could adding these features to the Xbox controller kickstart them on PC, since Xbox controllers are the de facto PC controller?
That's a good question. I guess basically, yeah, both controllers would have to do it. Essentially, Sony's already done it. The thing with Microsoft, their Xbox controller is it's just compatible with Windows out of the box, and it's used for xCloud. It's like, it's used for so many things in Windows at this point.
Well, I feel like
they just need to establish a standard. I think there just needs to be a standardization, a standard API that works across, PC and console.
Yeah.
And I think they can get there. I mean, DirectX works on PC and console, right? So if they take a similar approach with the haptic stuff, I think that would be a path to get there.
Well, because I don't understand. There should be games that just do it. Like, does the new Call of Duty have the haptic and adaptive on both? Do they have access to
It
it?
has adaptive triggers. I know that.
Can you turn
the
it on
adaptive triggers.
PC though? Because if it's there, I don't know why you would have to turn it off. Like normally with PC, if something's on console and you can easily access it through something on PC, they just let it in there with like a check mark box and settings, and that's it.
As far as I can tell, the adaptive triggers haven't been incorporated into any of the drivers for Windows or Linux or any of that yet. So that's something I'd like to see though, because if you look up online, people have taken sound files and actually run it through the PS5 controller, and the vibration will actually produce sound and the correct bass and everything. So some people put it on a card, it's on YouTube, someone put it on a cardboard box and they played the Doom theme, and it actually sounds like the Doom theme just from the vibrations. Hell. It's really weird, yeah, but it's pretty cool. And I mean, if you look at the Switch, there are some games where it actually plays, the vibration will play sound. So Mario Party, it tells you it's your turn by vibrating, and it actually just makes sound. It's really weird. I think Kirby, if you beat Kirby, it has a whole theme song that plays too. So it's interesting. It's gonna be tough. They're gonna have to go across the board, I think, with at least both controllers. So both big options. Basically, we just need Microsoft to at least put in their Xbox controller. So, which, by the way, there was a patent? Did you guys see there was a patent that was put out that found from 2017? Microsoft was thinking about those adaptive triggers that Sony ended up using. So it's interesting that where the R&D goes for some of these companies. All right, so we'll come back to some of the Discord questions after we talk about 2021. I don't think it can't be worse than 2020, can it?
Absolutely not.
So far, it's not.
Yeah, it's been for the past 2 days, right? We'll see what happens on Monday.
I don't think it can go lower than 2020, man. 2020 was god awful. So
yeah, 2020 was pretty bad. So I'm hoping 2020 is better. It seems like towards the end. 2021, yeah. It seems like towards the end of 2020, things got back on track for developers, especially in Japan, from what it seemed like. And things got delayed to 2021, but I think this year is going to be pretty good for games. I hope, anyway, unless something crazy happens again.
It's starting off hot, man. Next month is a lot.
A lot of stuff is coming out next month.
Yeah, Bravely Default 2, Persona 5 Strikers. What else we got? We got another game that I'm just slips my mind.
Mario 3D World.
We got Outriders. I've actually seen a surprising amount of hype for Outriders and Medium.
Medium's out in 3 weeks. Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I'll probably forget about Outriders. It'll come and go, and I'll never know.
I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, I want to play it at launch. I can't guarantee it does look so much like a Destiny copycat, and I'm just not super into that. But I do want to beat it.
I am curious about the Medium, though. The Medium could be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
The guys who make the Outriders game, that's People Can Fly. I mean, Bulletstorm was kind of cool. I mean, when it first came out, that was a fun game. It had some interesting ideas.
I mean, I played Outriders at the media event, and it was fun. Yeah, I like the magic.
We also have Scott Pilgrim and Cyber Shadow coming out based on the list that I'm seeing here for this month. Cyber Shadow looks awesome. It's not like a big game, but it's a cool looking game coming out.
Oh yeah, Cyber Shadow looks dope. It looks cool.
So I'll be grabbing that one definitely, because I like the Messenger a lot. So I'm all over that.
Yeah.
But which company do you guys want to start with for 2021? We got Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo.
We can blaze through Microsoft in 10 minutes, right?
maybe. We can
Halo Infinite.
We can start with Microsoft. All right, we can start with them. That's fine. So, Microsoft, we don't really know what they have this year, right? Other than Halo Infinite and the Medium. I mean, are those the two games that they really have right now?
Wait a minute, they've got a big acquisition with Bethesda that's just about to get inked, man. I mean.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. All right, so we can go to Bethesda on that, because it looks. I mean, they're going to ink that deal in June is what they're saying by the latest.
Yeah,
they're not saying much right now. They're being very quiet in every interview about it. They're like, it's very important to us. We're not going to talk about exclusivity, nothing like that. But we'll have more information later. Yeah, I think you're right, MC. They're waiting to basically just sign the paperwork, and then they're like, all right, all these games are exclusive now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll be that.
Did y'all see? There's been some leaks that Starfield may be pretty far into development, and we may actually get Starfield released this year. What do you think if that ends up being Xbox Series X exclusive?
That would be interesting because that means they would have had to have gone in and just put a halt on the PS5 version.
Yep.
See, because that's a game that I feel like if it was done or at least close to being ready for the PS5, they'd be like,
Why not? Right, free money. We already made it.
Unless it was to the point where it was worth it to them to just say, nope, you got to go through xCloud, you got to go through an Xbox or get Windows to play it. And maybe to them, it's worth it just to shelve that version. Or maybe it's a timed exclusive. Maybe they keep it on the Xbox and PC and all of that for a year, and then it goes to the PS5 a year later. I don't. It would be weird it'd be a pretty big waste to just leave that game on the cutting room floor for a different console. I would like to see Starfield actually release though, Max. I think that'd be awesome.
I'm excited. Yeah, there's been like 9 leaked screenshots so far. They look good.
Nate, Starfield this year, what do you think?
Starfield this year?
We need that holiday game.
Maybe. This is Bethesda. We've seen almost next to nothing about this game. We know basically nothing about this game. If it releases this year, let's say it's a holiday game, it releases in November. If Microsoft and Bethesda don't ink the deal until June, then that game's coming to the PlayStation 5 maybe 6 months after the Xbox and PC version launches. Because Microsoft has no say in any Bethesda project at this moment until the deal is done. Right. So that game is an active development until the ink is dry.
So let's say they have, Halo Infinite. I think that could drop in September. I think that's possible. If they do have Starfield November, you wouldn't put both of them in November, would you?
No,
I don't think so. But I would probably flip them around if that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Halo Infinite. Wow, you think it's going to come that close to 2022 even?
Yeah. I think so. And not because, obviously with its well-documented, history, but there's some talk that, it may drop with the 20th anniversary and all this sort of stuff in November. So
I'm okay with that.
It makes sense, that they drop it in November.
I'd be okay with that. Yeah, if it drops along with the anniversary and they can do more merchandising and
it's about a holiday setup there, just from a marketing perspective of 20th anniversary. Let's hype up Halo as the big holiday game for the Xbox. Get all those Mountain Dew bottles out there again that were out this year.
They're going to do a special edition Xbox Series X.
Maybe
I would say so. I would say so. Hasn't every Halo had a special editions up to now?
Halo 4, right? Halo 4 had the slim that was like the silver. Yeah, you're right.
Had the VCO. I have that model.
It did.
And then Reach had a special, and 3 had a special. Even the OG Xbox had a Halo special edition, or Halo 2 special edition. So yeah, I think they have to, right? It's kind of a tradition that they. Is
that the prediction right here, right now, MVG special edition Xbox Series X?
Ooh,
not Series S, Series X.
Well, see, that's tough now because they have 2 SKUs, right? So which one do you go with? I would say probably an X. Yeah, it's got to be the X, right?
They want to sell that X as the awesome version of Halo Infinite. So that's the version you want to sell. S, you can make it look like a grunt or something.
They may just have the S with like a Halo sticker on it or something and say, here you go.
Or put an Elite on it.
Yeah, make it look like the Halo ring.
I like the idea of that. That would be cool though. The Series X special edition Halo Infinite system with it probably comes like a couple months of Game Pass or something, and that's it.
I guess technically cool. ODST didn't have a special edition, but every other Halo did.
Yeah, but that wasn't a numbered one though. If we're talking about numbered ones, really, right. Like if you go just 1 through, well, technically 2 through 5. Then we had original Halo. We had a Halo Xbox, didn't we?
Yeah, the see-through.
Yep. Yeah, the see-through green, and they can make a hell of a bundle with it if you make a custom Halo-looking Xbox Series X and S, give it Game Pass, throw in Master Chief Collection.
Yep.
Boom.
So
there's your literal Halo box.
That'd be pretty big for them to have that. And there is what's the game they have coming from Bandai Namco as well?
Scarlet Nexus?
Yep.
Scarlet Nexus.
Scarlet
Yeah.
Nexus, yeah.
Yep, maybe that's something they have over the summer because they have the marketing deal on that. They're trying to push that heavily as an Xbox game, really, the way they're pushing it around.
Good luck.
And I guess they have the Medium coming up, but unfortunately, from what I can tell, a lot of their other games, first-party games, unless they somehow have, I mean, maybe they have. You think Hellblade 2 could make this year?
No.
That's the thing. That was the first game we saw really from the Series X.
Hellblade 2 has no chance this year. We'll get a Forza, whether it's Horizon or if it's Motorsport is just the question. We'll get one of those this year.
I mean, you think it'd be more Forza Motorsport because they've already shown us that. They talked about how it's not going to be called Motorsport 8. It's just going to be apparently called Forza Motorsport. So it's just basically turned into a live service, I assume.
Maybe. I mean, they can really go any direction they want with that at this point, because when you think of the car or the racing games on each platform, Forza probably is more name recognition than Gran Turismo at this point, as shocking as that may be. But Microsoft can really do anything they want with Forza Motorsport because Horizon gives them that arcadey, more fun, lighthearted type of experience, whereas Sony has Gran Turismo. We're going to see Gran Turismo this year for PlayStation 5.
Yes.
And that's probably going to be more of like game as a service because we've seen it with Gran Turismo Sport. So if Microsoft really wants to differentiate themselves, you don't make Motorsport a games as a service. You still just deliver that great simulation.
Okay. And then we also have Stalker 2 coming out this year.
Yeah, and Flight Simulator in the summer.
Flight Simulator.
Yes.
Yep. I'm actually surprised that Stalker 2 would be coming out this year. I don't know. For some reason, I think of Stalker 2, and I'm like, that's not coming out for a while. But yeah, apparently it's coming out this year, and it's going to be Game Pass day one.
That's because that
And
company
we got
always has
Crossfire.
weird
Yep,
production
and
schedules.
I predict that they're going to add more to their backward compatibility library.
Yes, I think so too.
I think they're going to push that pretty hard this year.
More original.
What are we going to get? What are we going to get? You're going to get some Project Gotham?
Well, I mean that's a good question. I mean, obviously there's licensing issues they have to figure out, but hopefully we can get some cool stuff. Hopefully, dude, Project Gotham would be a
Yes.
legit announcement if we got
Project Gotham was such a good game.
It was. I have it. Yeah.
It was great. Project Gotham 1, 2, 3, the kudos system.
Mm-hmm.
It was such an original idea at the time, and then Bizarre got bought by Activision, and Activision shut them down after making that 007 game.
So 2022 is going to be Microsoft's, like we would assume their actual like big year where things start to really catch up and like come out.
Yeah.
Starting. Okay. Yeah. So they're going to try to bridge 2021 as best they can.
Yeah, this year they're going to get the ball rolling probably by summer once we see Flight Simulator and everything start to kind of roll out. And then once they get to 2022, Microsoft's going to be full speed running. Okay.
So do you think they make another big splash in terms of maybe not necessarily games, but another acquisition like they did with Bethesda, but in 2021? Okay. Yeah. You do think they'll something that's at least like noticeable, not I mean, Bethesda level was definitely
not Bethesda tier, but they will make another acquisition. We've seen the rumors that Ubisoft's Plus or whatever their service is called is going to be added to Game Pass, similar to EA Access. That will probably happen.
Do you think they could make another multi-billion-dollar studio acquisition?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. They have unlimited cash, so if it's a right move, I think they can definitely throw more money around.
I wonder who they would pick up. I like the rumors of Sega.
I don't like the rumors of Sega.
They're not gonna buy Sega.
Hey, help them out. Help them localize some stuff. Come on. Maybe they can get some games on more than one system that way.
If they bought Sega, they'd have control over so many great IP. They'd own Atlas.
You mean they'd actually start using them?
No.
No. Microsoft still hands off, and Sega would still be like, we're not porting Skies of Arcadia.
But we would get our AAA Nights game.
Oh, I was going to say, imagine if they say, hey,
we all coming together for Sean.
We launched the original Xbox with Jet Set Radio Future. So now for Xbox Series X, we're finally doing Jet Set Radio Future 2. All right, I'd be happy about that.
I'd be happy if they took over Sega and they just said, let's get a Dreamcast collection.
What if they just started adding Dreamcast games to Game Pass?
I'd be fine. That would be a good deal in and of itself without owning Sega. Just go to Sega and say, here's $100 million. We want all your Dreamcast games on Game Pass. We've got Yakuza. Now give us those games. And if we have Shenmue 1 and 2, Dreamcast versions, not the weird broken HD game.
Damn, brother.
Skies of Arcadia, House of the Dead. There's a lot of great games.
I
they
can
could put
only
on
get
Gun
so
Val-
erect.
Gun Valerie. There's a lot of great games.
I know we're fanboying and just throwing these ridiculous games around, but one thing to keep in mind is this is the 20th anniversary of Xbox, so they may dip and start bringing some of these things back. So who knows? I think this is going to be a big year for Microsoft. I mean, obviously they don't have the releases that they were hoping for this year. Obviously there's a lot of stuff that's coming next year, but I think this is going to be a big year for them. I mean, one of their biggest years they've had for a long time, quite honestly.
Could be.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of other studios other than Sega is like the one that would again shock people if that got announced, because Bethesda was obviously or ZeniMax was obviously shocking. There was that really funny article that was popped up. I don't know why people thought it was real, where it said that Microsoft bought Sony. That was great. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I
People
saw
actually
that.
believed it. I was like, really? Really?
I think they latched onto a Twitter thread of Grub, myself, and Randall Thor. We were like, Microsoft's bought Nintendo, they bought Sony, they bought Sega. And then also I see this article like 2 days later. I'm like, do these idiots believe this? I hope, Microsoft bought Sony and the PlayStation 5 division, because that just makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I would expect Microsoft to at least buy another studio, another acquisition, I will say, this year coming up. But what about we can move over to Sony next. Evan, we got a Discord question over there.
Do you think we'll get a Yakuza game on Switch, giving Ichiban Kasuga a chance to get into Smash?
No.
I think Yakuza will come to the Switch. At least one of them will, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think
it
they're coming
has
to
anything
Smash,
to do-
though. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it has
no,
anything
not-
to do with Smash though. Like that I don't like the linkage of the that means it's gonna come like they already picked the people
Yeah.
beforehand. So
Yeah.
They would
I
have
think-
they would have had to have known this game. Is
Well,
coming
wait,
a
hold on.
long
They already
time
had
ago.
it on the Wii U though. Didn't they already have
and
Yakuza on the Wii U?
so bad, the producer of Yakuza is still personally insulted that it ever went to the Wii U, and he won't bring it to the Switch because he's embarrassed by that game because it sold 2,000 copies.
I think they'll eventually have their hand forced though with the way things are going in Japan right now.
That's my thought too. Is I think there's just so much money on the table, and there's been a lot of demand for it. Honestly, what I want to see is Yakuza, Kiwami specifically, or Yakuza 0. And there's been a lot of talk of why don't we have the Shenmue collection on Switch? I want to see both those.
That's another good one. Yeah, I just think eventually they're going to be like, there's 1 million PS5s in Japan, and there's like 19 million Switches in Japan.
Sega's still on their transition in terms of like what they wanted to do with their plan. If you looked over their business, their financial investor meetings, they're finally starting to be, we need to do multi-platform. Like they legitimately, and that's why I say like they're mismanaged. They legitimately did not think that they needed to do that before. I know it sounds weird.
They were shocked that They were
Yeah.
shocked that Persona 4 Golden sold so well on the PC.
That's how you know they're mismanaged. They were shocked that this all-time great RPG sold good. Like,
They
what?
put the best Vita game on Steam for $20 and it shot to the top of the Steam charts and they were just shocked. They're like, how, what?
Like,
They're
what?
shocked, but we have to give them some credit. I feel like a lot of companies don't admit when they screwed up or when they were wrong. I actually give them credit for coming out and saying, wow, this sold great. We're glad you guys love it. We need to do this more, instead of just being like, this is aligned with our expectations.
And I agree with you, Max, but literally people have been telling them that for like a decade now.
Oh, I know.
So it's like they waited. This is the first Persona 4 Golden, the first time that mainline Persona has been outside of PlayStation, and they're shocked, even though they haven't realized that their market, it's not just PlayStation. There are a lot of people that want to play Persona and the other games on PC and on Switch. Like I would say it's skewed a lot more. Like you could see, if it was all simultaneous release, you could see sales just as big on PC on Switch than it is on PlayStation at this point, considering the demographics and what's happened. The Vita is no longer a thing anymore. You know, look at the Japanese sales of a lot of these games that come out. A lot of them are selling on par with Switch and PS4 or above on Switch. So like they didn't realize that. They still had that old school like PS2 mindset, you know what I'm saying? Or like DS or 3DS, where they pick a platform, they try target the platform and just say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is our budget. But they need to realize that that's not the case, which they're doing a little bit, right? Persona 5 Strikers, that was a PS4 game. That was not a Switch and PC game. They said, okay, we got to change. We got to pivot on this one. And they did that. So they're learning a bit. So, I mean, I agree with you on that, man.
That's going to be a chance for Steam to prove itself again with Persona 5 Strikers when that shows up day and date with the other versions. See how that goes. If that jumps to the top of the sales charts again, who knows? Maybe you see some of the older Persona games show up on PC as like basic like ports or even emulation or something, or maybe they really hit the emergency button and Persona 5 pops up one day on Steam.
Dude, I swear there's like $1 billion on the table right now. If they ever just decide to do PC, Xbox, and Switch for Persona 5, I swear there's so much money there, especially PC and Switch. It would be they would not regret it if they decided to do that.
I've bought Persona 5 3 times now, and if it comes to Switch, I'd buy it again.
Yeah, I can see. I think a lot of people would. Persona 5 on like a handheld system would make a lot of sense for that game that takes forever to beat. So let's go over to PS5 then. And so I think Sony's 2021 is actually gonna be really, really good. I think they have this thing set up. Like Nate, you already talking about Gran Turismo, but we know Ratchet is coming. Mm-hmm. Actually, I mean, dude, I think Ratchet's releasing like in the next couple months.
Yep, I think it's in the next 90 days. I think we're all going to be playing it.
I'm trying to think if it's coming out before or after Returnal though, because Returnal's out in March.
After. If they were going to have Ratchet released before Returnal, then they should have had Ratchet at the Game Awards and not made Returnal their only game of that entire showcase. That kind of indicates to me that their next two releases are Destruction Derby All-Stars and then Returnal, which makes me kind of feel like maybe Ratchet and Clank is either very late March or we're not getting it until their next fiscal year, which would be April.
Really? Okay, because I thought that game looked like, with how much they were showing it to us, I thought that was going to be out like real quick, the way they were talking about it, and it almost sounded like they were going to try to get it into like even launch at one point, the way they were mentioning the PS5, and here we are now in January, still trying to figure out if it's coming out.
I mean, it did seem like it should have been in those first few months, but Insomniac, they were busy with Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered, so we really don't know what the state of the Ratchet and Clank game was. It's just they showed so much of it at that initial event that it kind of was assumed that this was going to be a launch window game, which would still take us till May. So they could get within that window, but as much as I want Ratchet and Clank today, I just don't see it releasing before Returnal at this point.
I think it will, Nate. I think it's going to drop in February.
Yeah, I get that vibe too.
You think you're going to announce that state of play?
I really have no evidence to back that up with. It's just a feeling that I have. I feel like
it's Silent all over again.
I feel like it's a February game.
I want a game to love in February.
It seems so done. That's my thing. It looks so complete.
We got to be careful though, because we've been down this road before when we think things are done when they show us things.
I heard Ratchet and Clank runs surprisingly well.
Yeah, right. We're gonna get cyberpunked. We're gonna have to call it getting cyberpunked from now on.
But we did hear the reports that we felt like Ratchet was a launch kind of game, or was so. I do think that it's just about there. I think it's almost ready to take out of the oven and
like let's say they have a state of play in like the first somewhere in the first 3 weeks of January. Would them telling us that it's out at the end of February really be that like too soon with how much they've shown us? Like, I feel like they could be like, if it was like, I don't know, like if it was the January 14th or something for a state of play, and they were like, hey, Ratchet and Clank's out right at the end of February. I feel like that's enough time for.
What do you want to give Ratchet and Clank a little more of a marketing window than Returnal?
Yeah, that's the only thing that I guess is against the February date, is that if they're going to move on Ratchet, they're going to have to do it pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to need to know about it like in the next few weeks, right? So they can have that lead time.
I mean, couldn't they just tweet out the release date on Monday?
Well, yes, they could, but like I think it's more of a case of when you look at Returnal and Ratchet and Clank, as much as I love House Marquee and the games they have made, they're not a significant AAA tier developer. Returnal is $70, but it probably didn't have a huge budget. Ratchet and Clank likely had a bigger budget, and if I'm Sony, just from a business perspective, I want more PlayStation 5s in the hands of consumers when Ratchet and Clank launches. And right now, we're not there yet.
That's a really good point. I didn't really give that much thought. Yeah, I mean, how do you think the scalpers and the fact that you can't get a PS5 right now is playing into that? Maybe they were thinking about February in an ideal world, but since no one can buy a PS5 anymore, maybe they are thinking about maybe making it a spring game for March or something.
I would wait. There's no point in right now launching this super cool, highly anticipated game, right? That could help move systems, but there's not systems to move. Like you want to get you want people to have the system so they can buy it. There's still a lot of scalpers out there that have systems, Like there's still a ton of them on there that, John, you were talking about how the prices are going down a bit because people are, haven't been buying them maybe as much because scalpers just have so many with their stupid bots. So, I mean, if I was Sony, I would wait till it's done, right? I mean, that's the thing that makes sure everything's great with it. But then also too, it's like, I think they said they have like 3.4 shipped right now.
Yep.
3.4 million shipped. I mean, that's good, but I mean, how much are you trying to sell? Like a lot of the sales do come in that first month.
Yes.
So if you don't have if you don't have like 5, 6, 7 million systems out, that's going to be rough on how many people are actually going to buy the game in that first launch month, which are your biggest sales. So, I mean, I might wait a little bit, but that's just me.
I mean, you'd also want to put some games out that would continue to sell PS5 hardware too.
True.
Throughout
But
the year.
there are third-party games coming out, and people just want the system based on what's already out, like Demon Souls and Miles Morales. People want the system, so even if they didn't release anything, like you can't get it. So people would still buy the system, and there's still third-party games coming out that would help with that. And then once it kind of gets back on track, you can say, okay, now we're going to release our big game here. Because even if they didn't release anything, like from Sony's first party, there's still plenty of third-party games that are going to help. Whatever stock does get into store, people are still going to rush out there and try to get it.
Sure. Yep. Yep,
So Nate, there's Ratchet and there's Gran Turismo. What else first party Sony's coming out this year? You said that Sony's going to have a big year. I mean, is it going to be that much bigger than Microsoft?
I mean, we're looking at a year where we should see Sony have Horizon God of War, Ratchet and Clank,
God of War not coming out this year.
Okay, but let's
their intent. Their intent is this year. I think it gets delayed because the one thing Sony was consistent with the PlayStation 4 is that they would date games for a holiday, and they all got delayed until the following spring. So that could continue this time, and I kind of anticipated that it will. And God of War seems ripe for that delay, but their intent is to get it out this holiday. We'll see. But the majority of what they showed us,
you can't show a JPEG at the end of you can't show a JPEG at the end of the awards and say 2021.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think that would be an instance where how like Nintendo will have their own directs for a certain game? Do you think that game could get its own state of play kind of thing to build people up like midway through this year and be like, yeah, it's definitely coming out at the end of this year?
The way Ghost of Tsushima did?
Yeah,
I think anything PS5 exclusive first party Sony gets its own state of
play. Gets a nice treatment, nice like focus. Yeah, that would be cool to do that. And
Microsoft should definitely do the same with their event as well.
Well, here's where things get real interesting with Sony, because we just said, okay, God of War could be like the big anchor game at the end of this year for them. That I assume that would be like their big November title where it's like, this is the holiday title, it's God of War. And then we're talking about Horizon, we're talking about Gran Turismo, and then there's rumors of Final Fantasy 16 being pretty far along.
Yes.
Like, I almost wonder if Final Fantasy 16 could come out this year too.
I think it's their intention to have it out this year, at least this coming fiscal year. So before the end of March 2022 is their intention, but it's just a question of how smooth is development going, how smooth is localization going, will they actually achieve this goal? But it's in both of their favors to make that happen. And if it does, it's just going to look like once Sony really starts to drop in these releases, they're going to look really strong. It's just a question of when do we really start to count these releases? Do we count it in March with Returnal being the first one? Or are we going to wait until like a Ratchet and Clank drops and then we see Sony really hit their momentum for 2021? Because they've shown us what they have in store. We know Gran Turismo is supposed to be first half of this year, Horizon second half. They have their big hitters and their roadmap is laid out. Now we just have to get those dates plotted on it. And Sony still has announcements to make.
I like the idea of Final Fantasy 16 being, now that you're mentioning it, Nate, if we went along their fiscal year, that was like a March 2022 release then, if that's one that ended up being a little further, or even God of War, because God of War 2018, that released in April.
Oh yeah, April.
So
20th.
After a delay. Delay.
So like God of War could even end up in March, and Final Fantasy 16 could end up in the holiday alongside of Horizon.
Yes.
Like that's very possible. But like that, that's a strong 12 months from Returnal to then God of War to finish up on the opposite side in March 2020. That is a strong 12 months. And you said they're still not done making announcements. Like Silent Hill has been rumored like to the moon and back at this point.
Here
like
we go again.
Talking about it. And
within the first 6 months of 2021, I think that's going to make some noise.
Yep.
But okay, that
When
game's
those
not
coins drop out.
that game's not coming out for a couple years though. That's gonna be a little longer. Like, but
At an absolute earliest, it's a second half 2022, probably early 2023.
So okay, what about Metal Gear Solid 1 remake?
Ooh.
Oh, where's
No
this coming
time
from?
Not anytime soon. If that happens, that's not until late 2023, early 2024.
So you're saying it could be at three different E3s like Spider-Man was. All right, good.
Wait,
So far off, it's not even worth speculating about its existence.
Is this supposed to be the next Blue Point game?
Maybe.
Is that what you take? Was that what you're saying?
But hasn't this been a rumor that Blue Point's been making Metal Gear Solid 1 since the PlayStation?
There was a rumor that they had the concept phase done for it, and then they put it to the side, and they were working on Demon Souls, I guess, and now they're back to doing Metal Gear Solid. I don't know. Hey, you know what? I will say this: if Silent Hill does get announced and Konami's logo is actually there and they stepped out of the way, I'll say, okay, you know what? It's possible because Konami could just say, hey, here's Metal Gear. Do what you want. We tried to do Survive. We're not going to do it anymore. So you go ahead and try it.
Well, Blue Point puts out a game roughly every 3.5 years. So if they are working on a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, then we're looking at 2023. So they probably wouldn't announce it until 2022. So we gotta wait.
Can you imagine what Metal Gear Solid 1 could look like on the PS5 and something like Unreal Engine 5?
Oh, it would look absolutely ridiculous.
That would be wild. Oh, that'd be good.
But
I just want that to be real.
How do you approach that game though?
Yeah, and how do you make it a PS5 exclusive as well if you remake Metal Gear Solid? Like, wouldn't Blue Point, wouldn't they want to put it on Game Pass and maximize the amount of money they're going to make on that thing?
Technically speaking, you're correct. Blue Point is not a Sony studio.
Well, it sounds like it. What if the Silent Hill
Sony licensing Metal Gear Solid 1 from Konami to make this port possible? That would be the only reason you'd keep it as an exclusive. But at the same time, if I'm Konami and I know I can contract Blue Point to do this project, wouldn't it be in my interest to have as many platforms as possible? Mm-hmm. And I just don't know how you approach that project. We saw the hate Twin Snakes got due to the changes and how the Ocelot fight was completely broken and it was far too simple in first person. So how do you approach Metal Gear Solid 1 in the modern day?
But Twin Snakes was awesome.
It was awesome. I love Twin Snakes.
Yeah, same.
I like how ridiculous it was. Yeah, I like the ridiculousness of it. Really, it was not a realistic game, but it was.
When Cyber Ninja cuts a hole from the ceiling the size of a waffle, and it drops down, and he does a backflip to shoot it at you, and then you Matrix dodge it. That's a good scene.
No matter what they do, though, people are gonna like. You can't worry about people like changing things because people are gonna complain regardless of it. So I think they just approach it like if they wanted to. I like the idea, Konami could license, not license, but Konami could just ask Blue Point if they really wanted to do it. But I guess Blue Point might have a lot of loyalty towards Sony and might not want to do something unless it was through them. I'm not sure how they operate too, though, because they've really only done Sony stuff since I've been following them.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably just easier for them to go that route. They just make the game. They don't have to deal with like the licensing or any of that kind of stuff. And Sony probably has a lot of pull for that anyway. If they're getting Silent Hill from Konami, why wouldn't they have asked about something else like Metal Gear while they were there at the table?
Do you think? I don't think Konami.
I don't think there's a table though, John. Yeah. Like I don't think this Konami thing is real. Like I don't know. Like anyone that is thinking about Konami remaking these games again, or being involved and getting Sony to remake these games, go to the Konami gaming website and look at all the slot machines that they make. There's about 300 to 400 slot machines. There's millions of slot machines around the world right now. They make more money in a single day than they'll make in sales of these games. There's no reason for them to make these games again.
But they made a terrible Contra game.
They did.
That game was terrible.
What about Momotaro?
They might just be doing those to put the nails in the coffins of their gaming division by showing their investors, don't do it because this is terrible.
But that actually plays more into the Silent Hill idea, though, because they wouldn't make it. They would just be signing some paperwork and collecting money.
I just wonder about the motivation, for them to do something like this. I mean,
he's not wrong though, bro.
I mean, I'm telling you, man. Like, gambling is what they do now.
I went to a casino a couple months ago. I went to a casino for the first time, and I walked in there, and there were Konami slot machines. Like, they don't even say like Metal Gear Solid. They're just slot machines, and it said Konami across the top. And there's little old white ladies there pulling the slot machine all day. Like, these aren't gamers, but they're paying gaming money.
I will put the link for you guys, just so you guys can see what I was laughing at. By the way, guys, if you guys want to know what I was laughing at, I put the link. I put the link in the chat. If you guys just want to check it out real quick.
Hey, when we had that siren scream, everyone's gonna say, "Oh my God, it's back."
Well, Nate, if they announce Silent Hill, I'll do a Nate the Hate with you, and I will tell you how wrong I was for 1 hour.
Do you have a house plant you can eat?
An hour? Hell yeah.
Okay, so do you think they also do any kind of hardware like the PlayStation VR 2?
Oh, yes. So, I don't know about PlayStation VR 2, Nate. You can definitely respond to that, but I will say this: they got to figure out some firmware updates and fast, because the current state of the PS5, now that we've all had one and we've had one for a month, 2 months, whatever, however long they've been out, there are some issues with that system that need some fixes like ASAP. So one of their things that they really have to do now that they're getting back from the break starting next week is they need to start pushing out some regular firmware updates to fix some of these issues, because I'm getting crashes, I'm getting issues with my haptic feedback, I'm getting just all sorts of weird UI things sometimes. So they got to address this stuff. They got to start adding some features to the operating system. They have a lot of work to do on that front.
You think when are they gonna let us like upgrade our storage? The NVMe
that's
drive.
another one. Yeah, the 120 hertz thing, the storage stuff. I mean, they got to get this stuff figured out. They promised this stuff, and it's sure it's still the launch window technically, but I mean we're fast approaching getting out of that. So now they really need to start giving us those features.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially that, like I said, the extra storage. That's something I would like to be able to do like now.
Well, beyond even just the NVMe drive, let me have a cold storage solution. The fact that I still can't use an external hard drive.
That's true for PS5 games. Use it for PS4 games, but yeah, not PS5.
Like that should have been there day one. And instead, Sony comes out with, "We're not seeing any storage problems." Well, you have like 3 games, so you shouldn't have storage problems yet. They have to address storage. They have to address even just basic user interface stuff with some firmware updates. It's not that it's bad, the dashboard is bad, or the user interface it's bad in its own, but why is it such a convoluted mess to get to my trophies? It just feels like there's too many extra steps to get there. Why isn't it just a symbol on the game bar? Why do I have to go to my profile to access my full list of trophies?
Why not?
That's unnecessary. That's a very simple solution.
Even holding down the button. It took me 10 minutes to find out how to add friends.
That's why I only play single player games on PS. I don't know how to operate it at all. Whenever I shoot, I'm just gonna go to the game and play. I'm not gonna do anything else. I'm just gonna do that. There's so much stuff, but I like the interface. I thought it was all right, but I see what you guys are saying though.
Like even to shut it off. I still hold down the button because I just want that prompt to come up. Every other system does it. It did it on the PlayStation 4. Sony this time was like, yeah, let's just add an extra step because I don't know why.
What do you think about PlayStation VR 2 though? Do you think that's coming this year, or at least announced?
I think it gets announced this year. Whether or not it releases this year, probably is kind of up in the air. It depends really how they want to approach that headset and what type of technology they want to implement into it. But I could see that be announced, I'd say this summer, usually when Sony has their June type of event. I could see them announce it then, maybe hold it off until late summer if they don't have intentions of launching it until next spring. But I definitely see an announcement this year.
They have 2 games that would work really well with it too. They have Gran Turismo, which Gran Turismo Sport, well, it was a good like, hey, tech demo. Here's what it could look like, with your VR headset. But like the PSVR 2 with the PS5 would probably be way more advanced. And Resident Evil 8. I think if you had Resident Evil, maybe it even gets an update around the time the headset comes out, and you can play all the way through it in VR. That would be really cool to see that. But they have to make a lot of improvements on that PlayStation VR headset. It's got to shrink.
It has to be wireless. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have to improve.
You can't be attaching, 7 cords into a control box and then 3 cords out of the control box into the PS4. I mean, it has to be a much more easier, streamlined process.
I know the booster box from I remember just up the overall refresh rate, which the PS5 should be able to do on its own now. That shouldn't be an issue. So I'd like to think that at worst case we would have one cable going to it, and that'd really be it. Maybe through it could be what the USB-C port on the front's for. Who knows? Or it's just one of the USB 3s on the back, maybe both of them. But
the USB-C port on the front is awesome for charging your controller. USB to USB, it charges it really fast.
Yes.
That's what it's for.
I got the charging station thing, and it does take a little longer to charge through that.
If you do, I'm telling you, the USB to USB on the front.
Yeah. I think you're right now. I think the PSVR 2 could be announced at some point this year, but it might not come out till next year, to be honest.
Do we get Half-Life Alyx with it?
Yes. I would assume that would be one of the games they would push in the initial teaser trailer.
Oh, really?
That would be a good one for them to pick up, especially if it's more advanced, like we're thinking that would work correctly with Half-Life Alyx, because the PlayStation VR now probably wouldn't do that well with some of the stuff that Half-Life Alyx is doing, where you're actually grabbing things with their hands, and I don't think it worked that well. But I would hope that would be one of the games that they would have on the radar to just grab immediately, and even have as a launch title to go alongside the VR2, because that would get a lot of people on board Half-Life Alyx 2 years after the game came out or something. So
yeah, if you give them a launch title for Half-Life Alyx and maybe an enhanced Beat Saber or a Tetris Effect or something that's enhanced for PS5 VR, that I could see that selling a lot of pre-orders.
The sad thing is that Half-Life Alyx wasn't nominated for Game of the Year, but there's a good chance that in 2021 Cyberpunk will be.
No.
Yeah, that game is not getting nominated for Game of the Year.
All right,
It's gonna get.
Are we gonna make that bet right now?
I bet you it'll get best ongoing game.
I bet you it gets nominated for Game of the Year next year.
Rob, if you're watching, do not nominate Cyberpunk.
That game is not getting nominated for Game of the Year. It's January, what is it, 2nd, and the only discourse around that game is it's broken, it's not as good as people said. Why did people say this game was good? Some people do happen to enjoy it, but there's no actual conversation going around I can't wait to play this game for the next year, like an Elder Scrolls has. I beat the game. I'm never playing it again. This game has no longevity, and this is going to be forgotten. And a lot of the game's problems aren't going to be fixed just because they have a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X patch. The game's foundation and fundamental design is flawed, and that's the conversation going on right now. CD Projekt Red can't fix that within a year.
Yeah, but Nate, they're just going to send out another wave of chairs, and it'll fix everything.
They're going to send me a chair, and I'll sit in and say, this game sucks.
They're going to put patches out. People will forgive it midway through this year coming up. And then next year at the Game Awards, it's going to be right there next to God of War and Forbidden West, and maybe even Breath of the Wild too.
Dude, not with the games coming out this year. I mean, if this year was weaker, I'd be like, okay, maybe. But this year has a lot of good games that are going to be coming out, man. It's going to be pretty packed. So I don't know about it. It might get nominated for best performance.
Hopefully they're good games.
Is there a Don't Call It a Comeback award? Because might get a nom for that.
They're gonna give it. They're probably gonna give it best ongoing experience. If they manage to fix it, they're gonna give it that stupid weird thing that they give to Fortnite every year.
I feel like they'll want to try to give it some award for something. I don't know. Yeah.
best game to convince people not to pre-order games based on hype goes to Cyberpunk 2077.
All I know is it
Again.
got a bunch of 10 out of 10s and hundreds out of 100s there when it first came out.
Yeah, but
And now people are going back to those reviews saying,
That was so
I played
funny.
the game. Even if I ignore the
that's
bugs and some of the glitches, how did this game get a perfect score?
because it was controlled. That you can't take the review scores at face value because it was a controlled review. They only PC. You could only use this footage. You could only there was too many restrictions. That's why it got so many great scores. Once the game started getting out to where PS4, Xbox, everything, people started. Wait a minute, it's not what the experience is on what the it has a completely different score on PS4 and PS4 and Xbox One than it does on PC. You know.
I mean, I gave it a 9 out of 10 on an Xbox Series X, and I still stand by that. A big reason why I enjoyed the experience so much isn't because of the crazy graphics. To me, I love the freaking storytelling in that game. I know MVG, you were saying you didn't care for the main story. I like the main story. I like the side quests. It felt like such a thought out universe. It's filled with bugs. I still don't think you should play it on a base Xbox One at all, of course. The VCR is going to fucking melt. But when that comes out next gen, I am planning on doing a full master file when it comes out on PS5.
The Series X version is the best console version. So
I heard Stadia was the best version.
I did hear that too, unironically.
That's where we are. That's where we are with this game.
But none of
Cyberpunk made Stadia look good.
We've heard it, but none of us have tried it on Steam.
Yeah, right. We're all just it's Nintendo and nobody else. Nintendo's the one guy tweeting about it.
I heard it runs well on the Atari
video title.
VCS, John. Have you got do you have your Atari VCS yet?
Yo, that's on the way. It's I got shipping an update for it. It is supposed to show up on Tuesday, I believe.
That's super exciting. Take it to the office. I want to check that thing out.
I'm actually going to have the Atari VCS.
Evan's actually excited for hardware.
I got their Pro controller thing too.
Awesome.
I got that as
You
well.
didn't get the joystick though.
I didn't get the joysticks. No, I didn't get the classic joystick, unfortunately. But I got the other controller. So we'll see. That apparently they partner with PowerA for that one. So, but back to Sony. I think they're going to have a good year overall. I think they're going to go that run where it's going to feel like almost every 6 to 7 weeks they're going to have a release coming out there for a little while. So
they could get close to that. I mean, they're going to have a lot of great software. I think they're going to have a lot of good announcements this year. Hardware sales, they could potentially come close to Switch type numbers from 2017. We could see them move 17, 18 million units this year if they have supply.
Yeah, I think that's the big question mark. If they have supply, they gotta figure out this supply thing fast. Otherwise, every day that goes past, there's just
lost sales.
Yeah, it's lost sales. Absolutely.
Yep. So I would assume that by maybe April or May they have at least figured out on the back end, and they're sending more and more in.
Scalper thing too with how Walmart's blocking. We got to figure that out too.
The question is, when do you guys think that you can jump on Amazon and buy a PS5, add to cart without having?
I don't even think it's going to be
a while, right?
I don't even think it's going to be Christmas. Even I think midway through, maybe in summer, like Nate's saying, maybe like summer, like July or something, you will. Mm-hmm. But once we get into holidays, same thing's going to happen again because people will start trying to buy them for Christmas. And like the Switch still gets resold on eBay now for more than it's worth. It's like a $450 system half the time on eBay.
Switch had a weird year because it kind of hit its peak in terms of demand, partially because of Animal Crossing, and Nintendo did not anticipate such high demand, especially in the West. So they were just chugging along at their normal production rate, and it was like, crap, we're making 1 million units a month, but our demand is actually 2 million units a month. We got to do something. And once people noticed that, scalpers started buying them up, and they were secondhand selling them for double, triple the price in some cases. So
I can find the Switch Lite pretty easily right now, though. They have that like 12 of them at my Walmart right now. It's just the regular Switch. Everyone's the regular one.
Well, because it gives you the best of both worlds. You get portability and home docking.
Yep, that is true. So that's the PS5. Expecting big things from it this year.
Maybe an acquisition too. Maybe Sony looks into an acquisition.
Ooh, whoa,
okay.
whoa.
What's this? Acquisition?
Maybe Sony looks into an acquisition.
I wonder who would Blue Point.
Could be Blue Point.
Lock up Blue Point. Lock them up. Yep. I think they've earned it at this point to just be, I guess you'd say, stable completely. Sony would buy them, bring them in.
Yeah, but Blue Point needs to agree to it too, right? I mean, they could be happy the way they are. You know,
Correct.
That's true. They could be.
like a lot of things change when you basically fall under the wing of a big publisher / hardware maker. The rules change, and maybe you lose some freedoms. Maybe you lose a little bit of what made you a special boutique shop to begin with. So I'm not saying they wouldn't be bought out by Sony. They wouldn't do that, but you got to consider the company as well. What Bluepoint are thinking.
That's true.
As well.
I wonder if it would be an easier acquisition in general, like overall for both sides, because they've worked together so much, where it'd be like, yep, we already know what you guys do, you know what we do, let's just bring it in here, we'll make it official. And I mean, from what we've heard, the studios at Sony all basically work together on things too. If there's an issue with a game or like they're having a hard time with an engine or something, so we've heard about that too. So that, I mean, that's a good resource to have. All of a sudden you can literally call Sony Santa Monica and be like, hey, I'm having this issue.
Well, maybe they're just waiting. I mean, you would think that every single day that Bluepoint hasn't been bought by Sony, the price goes up. So maybe they're just waiting for the right time, to pull the trigger.
Sure.
That's the interesting thing with Bluepoint. It's because they've always done these remastered or remakes. They don't actually have all that much in terms of asset value. They don't own any IP. So their worth is really, look at our talent, look at what we've produced. And after Demon's Souls, that's going to get a lot more attention. So that's where, if you're Sony, you get them now, especially if you do assign them something like theoretical Metal Gear Solid 1 remake.
I like where this
want to have them before Metal Gear Solid 1. You want to make sure you have ownership, because the second a game like that magnitude launches, all of a sudden their price is increasing 5 to 10-fold. And
Microsoft,
Microsoft, I'm saying, hey, we want you now, because some
finally,
of our back catalog, we want to
coming back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing that as soon as possible. Probably, I'd say like the end of March, I'd want to announce our intents to buy Bluepoint going into our new fiscal year of boom, the deal's done. And now let's just move forward with this company, because you don't want their talent really to become too exposed to the point where you're catching the eye of EA, Activision, Microsoft. You don't have to worry about Nintendo because they're blind to such ideas.
But you don't. What if Nintendo approached Bluepoint and said, "Eternal Darkness, make it happen. Let's go."
I was not going to do that.
As exciting as that would be, Nintendo would.
It sounds too exciting and make too many people happy, so we're not doing that.
It'd be like such a smart business move for Nintendo, so we know that's not happening.
Dude, Nintendo hasn't even bought like Next Level. They're just like, nah, y'all good. Just keep making Mario or Luigi's Mansion for us for the next 30 years.
I almost wonder if they would, if Sony became pretty aggressive like over the next 2 years and started buying different studios. Like, I almost wonder if Nintendo would be like, maybe we should just go ahead and take care of this now.
I do agree, though. I do think that I would expect Bluepoint to get picked up by Sony at some point this year. I think it's on the cards. I think Demon's Souls was, really a show us what you got type of thing for next gen. And now that they've proven themselves, I think now is really the time where, the deal's probably in the works right now as we speak, to be honest.
Yeah, I could see that for Sony. It makes a lot of sense. So let's Evan, we got Discord questions over there.
We got the last one here. Do you think that ray tracing included with consoles was just a gimmick for marketing?
No.
This guy, no.
No.
Weird. What? No.
No. Ray tracing is awesome. Like,
I think it's pretty good in Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
Also Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Call of Duty has it.
It wasn't even just the visual effects though, like the auditory things that we're going to be getting eventually. I think partially use ray tracing,
like spatial audio. Yeah. Yep. And with Spider-Man, they have a Spider-Man 60 frames per second mode that also still has ray tracing. It's not great, or it's not like amazing ray tracing, but it's still there. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm playing in. It looks really good. And I was going to say, I was one of those people that felt like the Xbox Series S ray tracing on that was just a soft feature that really was never going to get used, because as soon as you talk ray tracing, it just kills your performance. But Watch Dogs really surprised me on the Series S that it does have an implementation of it, and I think it's a legitimate feature that is something that I will expect developers to continue using.
Yeah, the Watch Dogs and the Spider-Man ones, those ones surprised me a bit more because they're open world games. So I was thinking we'll see ray trace implemented into like a corridor style game first, but no, right away it's like, oh, yep, you can if you're controlling Spider-Man, you can look over and there you are in the window, just reflections and all. So it was kind of cool.
One of the outfits you can unlock has a gold logo on it. You can stop and go into photo mode, and it is a 100% representation of an actual reflection. So you can zoom in on it and see the entire world tinted with gold. It is insane to me how good that ray tracing is.
Hitman 3 is going to have insane ray tracing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, I'm going to go, that's what I might do because I was looking for a couple games to play in like this time period we're in now. Maybe I'll go back and play the first 2 Hitman again. Those are good.
2 is really good.
Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, because I can play it on the Series X or whatever. So I can go back on there. Let's go through some of the super chats here. Venisera says, Happy New Year, everyone. Hope all are well. Hustle and Motivate says, HNY, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
I love you. Hustle's awesome. I talked to him yesterday. He's a cool dude.
Samuel says, OJ, this is what happens when your fighting game is the best-selling game of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a lot of scrubs.
The good comes with the bad.
Yeah.
Big Ball says, hey, OJ, what are your thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3?
Convoluted, but
That's Kingdom Hearts General.
convoluted, weird game. But I mean, it's cool. I have it. It's a cool game.
Nada says Mario Kart 8, no end tourney while you listen out there now. Oh, SpawnCast, no code. Avatar says, anyone see Tim Rogers' review of Tokameki Memorial? Amazing video. Learned a lot about VG history and Koji Igarashi.
I haven't yet.
But that sounds interesting. I may go check that out.
It's like all of his videos are like an hour and they're so good, but I always have to like sit down and like, all right, it's Tim Rogers time.
Lucius says 90 hours in and I love Cyberpunk. I'm not getting most of the problems other people are reporting and I'm playing on the Series X. I heard the Series X had the least amount of problems when it came to crashing, whereas the PS5 just for a while, like when I was playing through it every 2 hours or so, every 2 to 3 hours it would crash on me. And it was weird for me. It was when like an actual like story element would start. Like if I'm about to sit down at a table, as I'm sitting down at the table, crash. Like that would happen a lot. So the Series X one is the one that I heard was the most stable when it came to crashing. That and Stadia. Stadia. Andrew says, how is Red Dead Redemption 2 on Series X? I've actually not played that on the Series X yet. Maybe I actually will try that, but I didn't get back to Red Dead Redemption 2. That was a big game. And after I was rolling through it, I did not have any real interest in returning to the online multiplayer.
It's still not good. They sold it for like $5 a couple weeks ago, and me and my buddies tried to play it. And once you play it for an hour, you're basically done. Like there's just nothing else to do.
T-Joe says, Evan, you playing Genshin, right? Any tips on how to get...
You're not going to be able to read this.
Kekaching, Mona, or any...
Kekaching, Mona, and I think he said Chi-Chi in there. I talked to him in...
characters without spending a bunch.
I talked to him in chat because he asked it a while ago, but it's basically just using what you have, saving up, and then waiting for banners with those characters on them as enhanced roles to come out. It's just like any other mobile game. Just don't spend.
Okay. Nerd Gaming says, Wood Cyberpunk video is on point. Yeah, this video was very good on it. Mm-hmm. Called him out.
I love that video. Into the freaking song that's so catchy. That's my favorite Wood video ever, seriously.
Dark Requiem says, what does everyone think about Top Hat Studios standing up to Twitter outrage mob with Sense a Cyberpunk story? Hope it's a trend personally.
I'm not aware of any of that. I don't know what that is.
Top Hat Studios on Twitter. Twitter outrage. I mean, that's like every day, right? that's the usual thing on Twitter. Top Hat Studios. I'll look into that. Standing up to a Twitter outrage mob with Sense a Cyberpunk story. We'll look into that. Dark Requiem. Dragoon says, why don't indie game developers create parody games? For example, a combination of Team 4-Star DBZ abridged in a South Park game setting, so it is not considered fair use.
It happens occasionally. If you've ever played Dragon Fantasy, it is a full-blown parody of Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy that completely rips them off in the funniest, self-referential way. So freaking good. But most people don't do it. It's weird we don't see more straight-up parody.
I think indie developers want to actually create something like for them that they really want to create, and they're not going to waste money and time on a parody. They're going to create something that they want to make, you know.
That's fair.
Zoob says, I grew up a Nintendo kid, picked up Final Fantasy VII for the first time this new year, just reached the church where Aerith joins. Why does it hold up so well? Because it is a classic. That's why.
That's my favorite super chat. That's awesome. Man, I love to hear it.
Yeah, and this is the first time you're playing through Final Fantasy VII? That's awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff. I wish I could play that game for the first time again. That was an awesome experience. Solid says, Happy New Year. Has anyone played Hitman 3 on PS5 like a demo? I'm just being careful, especially how Cyberpunk 2077 was at its launch on console. I have not played Hitman 3 on the PS5 like a demo.
I think Game Informer has exclusive rights to it. I think Game Informer has the game right now, and they're talking about it, and they seem impressed. And Game Informer's pretty neutral, so I mean, it seems good.
The good thing with Hitman is it's a quality game, but it's not like what they were going for with Cyberpunk. And they have a lot of experience with this formula with Hitman. So I think IO is going to put out like a quality game with Hitman 3.
Yeah.
Yes. I wouldn't worry about, I didn't even think about Cyberpunk like that kind of stuff when I was looking at Hitman 3. So I mean, wait for reviews. That's what I always say. You don't have to pre-order it. They're not going to sell it in the digital version. So just see what reviews are. They'll probably get that game out with enough time to where the reviews will be up like 2 or 3 days before the game even comes out anyway. Ice says, do you think Fanstar Online will see Sony platforms? Thought it was a time exclusive in the West. Yeah, I remember Phil Spencer mentioning that it was going to come to all platforms eventually. So, I mean, he mentioned everything, even like apparently the Switch, I guess. So I would expect Phantasy Star to eventually go to other platforms at some point. I don't know if it's a year exclusivity. If it is, we'll see if it goes to other platforms this year. Easel says, Lara Croft for Smash, iconic figure, known throughout the world. Realize Crystal Dynamic has a reputation iffy with mediocre games, but still. What do you think about that, OJ? Lara Croft.
That'd be cool.
All right. There we go.
There you go.
Got the seal approval. All right. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Restored says, I think WB... I mean, at this point, OJ, you're like, yeah. I mean, there's already how many characters in the game? You're just like, yeah, whatever they got.
Whatever they want to do, yeah. It's not going to change these frauds jumping online and leaving after one match. But yeah, whoever they decide to put, I mean, to get my...
Drop L block. I mean, if you start lighting people up with L block from Tetris, I mean, I would quit too. So I start losing the L block.
That's when I stop playing. If we get L block,
L block in the game, yeah. L block. I don't know. I mean, there's Minecraft. There's Minecraft. You can make an L block if you want.
There you go. Restored Hades says, I think WB Games may be a possibility. Talking about for like Microsoft acquisitions. I feel like they were wanting too much money for that though.
Yeah, wasn't it like $3 billion or something crazy?
Yeah,
I think it might have been 4 even. Like they were asking for it.
Jesus.
But I think they must have taken a look at that and they just kind of said, "Nah, I think we're okay."
Well, I think the problem is the only real IP they would have gotten out of it, I feel like, was Mortal Kombat, because like they're not going to get they're not buying Batman. They're buying the license to make Batman games, which they could eventually get anyway. Most likely themselves, they really wanted it. So I don't know. Do they need Rocksteady? Probably. They don't probably need Rocksteady, but if they work something out and they got Mortal Kombat and NetherRealms and stuff, it's not a bad acquisition if it was cheaper. So Timothy says, following suit with the Xbox One's original presenting, do you think the Series X will also become the next water cooler? Corey says, hey Spawn, love the week news every morning. Love your offshoot videos and the daily info. Keep it up. Here's my first super chat. Keep it up, bro, and look forward to tomorrow. All right, so let's go to Nintendo.
Yeah, let's go.
Nintendo in 2021. A lot to go over with Nintendo, actually, because even like their first few months coming up is actually, we just talked about this, it was pretty packed. You talking about Persona 5 Strikers, Monster Hunter's coming up, right?
Yeah, we got a demo this month. Monster Hunter Rise demo this month.
Oh yeah,
Monster
that's
Hunter Rise-
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
we got
let's cut the BS. When's the direct? Let's go. When's the direct?
Okay. Nate already.
Direct.
We get to the 1st of January. Nate's already out here tweeting an hour after midnight.
I saw that.
I agree with you.
January. Where's the direct?
You know,
January, where is it?
Nintendo never I don't remember them doing like big.
They don't do
directs.
January directs, do they?
They do mini. They've done
Didn't
like a
they do one in
direct.
2019?
Did they?
did.
I feel like they did minis. I feel like.
They did mini. They've done mini directs in January, but I think they might have had a big direct. But usually they wait till like March or something like that for like the big. Like
You know what?
2018, it was March. That's when they announced Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I think 2019. I don't
They will have a direct this month, and it'll be for the Mario 3D World. That'll be it. Mario 3D World.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Well, because 3D World's coming. It's coming out next month.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
coming out soon. Yeah. So the only other direct I can think of this month that could happen is from the Pokemon Company.
Yeah.
That's one I could see because they might even be like, yeah, we'll date Pokemon Snap. We'll take care of that. But there's also the rumors of the Diamond and Pearl remakes. Pokemon 25th anniversary is coming up, which means they'll probably also talk about merchandise. Maybe they'll talk even about the card game. I don't know. They can do all kinds of stuff. But I feel like they might want to do their own direct because they still have to tell us about Pokemon Sleep.
Or
Like
Pokemon
that-
Snap. New Pokemon Snap.
Yeah. So I feel like out of like Nintendo probably doesn't even need to do a massive direct in January. They might just do it in February or something. But I feel like the Pokemon Company could be one that actually does it because like if they have the remakes at the end of the year, let's say in like November or even October, they'd want to release Snap in like the first half of the year then. So like that could be, I could see that as a really good like summer type game like May or something for Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. What do you guys think about Breath of the Wild 2? When do you think?
Oh, good. Okay,
Hell
so
yeah.
so we have a bunch of anniversaries coming up, and you know, I mean, it's an easy way for them to sell a bunch of stuff around an anniversary, around like you know, so many years. So we have the
It's
Zelda.
an easy way for them to not give us Metroid this year.
Okay, so we got the
Whoa.
Zelda anniversary, we got Metroid anniversary. Zelda anniversary though, I mean, we saw what they just did for Mario, and then we got Zelda coming up, and I mean, Mario and Zelda, it's like their big franchises right now for like you know over like the so many decades. We got 35 years of Zelda now, so you
It's
figure.
coming. HD pack. HD
Okay,
pack, John.
so I would like them to do like a collection and like how they did with the GameCube, where they had the, you know, like they had 1 and 2, and then they had Ocarina of Majora's, but maybe do something like Wind Waker thrown in there instead. Maybe they throw Twilight Princess in there. I don't know. Is that a lot of value?
I think we'll get that. That's what I'm thinking when I think about
So-
a collection.
What about Skyward Sword?
All right, I would like. Okay, so I would like Skyward Sword to just be its own thing, and they rework it so that you could still use the controls, like just regular controls. And it's a $60 game they put out towards the end of the year as like one of their big releases.
I think that's the move. But where would like? But Breath of the Wild 2. It's like
So they would have to make the like the Mario stuff happened really fast. It was like because of a situation with this past year with the pandemic, things got shifted around pretty drastically. It sounded like Mario. We should have already been playing Mario 3D World from what it was sounding like. So I feel like the Mario anniversary stuff almost got just compressed heavily. Like I feel like they would do better off making the Zelda stuff more of a 10-month thing or a 9-month thing rather than like a 3-month thing. So maybe they do that Zelda collection. Maybe that's something to do like in the first half of this year too.
Do it in March when every Mario game gets deleted. They go, well, how about Zelda?
yeah,
It could be something that kicks off the fiscal year in April or something maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Why not do that? Why not do Skyward Sword like over like the summer, and then you finish up the whole like the whole celebration with you drop Breath of the Wild 2 at the end of the year.
That'd be pretty good, man.
I
That'd be
love
good.
the idea of that. If that happens, this might be my favorite Nintendo year ever.
It gets better. They also do Zelda Triforce themed Joy-Cons too.
All right, now we're just dreaming, okay?
I like the idea of it being a longer celebration for Zelda, though. I think that would be, if they can plan it out better than what obviously they were able to do this past year, where they announced the 3D collection that it's coming out in like a week or two or something. It was very quick. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there. But I think they'll lean into some of these anniversaries because why not? It's like easy money for them to do that. What do you think, Nate? What do you think about the 9-month long Zelda anniversary celebration?
Well, the longer they do it, the better for them, because anything's better than here's a game for 4 months and then we take it away from you. If you can give us it for 9 months.
I do think that I think the collection will happen something similar, because though again, there's a lot of value if you have 4 different Zelda games, 2 of them being bigger 3D titles that they just sold for $6 the previous generation. So I kind of think they'll be like, maybe this will be like a 4-month, 5-month run.
Yeah, it's mostly comes down just to timing for the entire thing, because Mario, everything released in September, the birthday month of the franchise. The problem is Zelda's birthday month is February, which would run into Mario's 35th year. So we're probably not going to get those games in February for the birthday month of the franchise, so they would have to push it until in April or May.
Yes.
And if you give us Twilight Princess and I guess Wind Waker for $60, it's not a bad proposition from a value standpoint.
Yeah.
Give us Skyward Sword a few months later, and then it's leading up to Breath of the Wild 2. It's not a bad rollout. It's not overly exciting. It's kind of...
I mean, we're all buying that stuff, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, every part of it.
Yeah, Nintendo knows all their fans are going to buy it, and then after 6 months, they're going to look at it and say, why did I buy this again? But it doesn't matter by then. Breath of the Wild 2 will be out, so you'll forget that you bought Twilight Princess for the 4th time and realized, God, this game's opening sucks.
They got me again.
Or the Triforce Hunt is horrible in Wind Waker. Why am I playing this? Like, damn it, Nintendo. But it's simple. It's a good enough anniversary celebration for the franchise. They'll probably do that random stuff. You'll get like Zelda sneakers from Van, and
finally
Old Navy will have a polo shirt with Triforces on it that people will be like, yeah, I can't wait to spend $80 on this.
Lego set?
What would you do for a Lego set, though?
They're going to sell
like
10 Lego Triforces, and they automatically explode in 32 days. So you have to hurry up and make your YouTube video.
I will say this, though. I think that there's also a lot of people, believe it or not, there's still a lot of people who haven't played Wind Waker and haven't played Twilight Princess, because they were re-released on the Wii U, but Wii U didn't sell that great. So it's not like a bunch of people who have the Switch now and played it. So the last time, honestly, was like that was the Wii. It was the Wii and the GameCube. So it's been quite a bit of time on anything that was a popular system, overall. So I do think that a lot of people would be playing it for their first time. Would be the Switch, would be playing it on there. So I think people are going to be excited. It'd be like a new game for a lot of people out there.
Yep. And hopefully they do something a bit more with it than what they did with the Mario stuff. Like at least put like a slip cover on the thing. Like at least do that. Like slip cover.
I don't know. I mean, if you look at Mario's 35th anniversary, if I'm Nintendo, I just sold 5 million copies of that game. I put in about as much effort as a kid making a pasta poster for their parent for their birthday gift. It was nothing. I just dropped some elbow macaroni on some glue and put it on a piece of paper and handed it to you. Nintendo did just about as much effort as that, and they made a ton of money. So if I'm Nintendo, I know you'll buy a minimal effort. Why am I going to try?
So is that how MVG makes games? Is that how you get it? Damn it, I'm going to be a game developer these days.
I want to give you.
I knew that's how you did it.
If you look at, I think it was the credits for 3D Collection. It's like 6 people made that thing for 3D All Stars.
I want to give them because of everything that happened last. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt for that packaging. They were just like, we got to get this thing out there.
It's very hard to predict how a Zelda collection is going to go, because last year was obviously a very, very terrible year, and they were up against it, right? So to Nate's point, Nate brings up a good point. Like, they don't have to put in a massive amount of effort and packaging to come up with something that's, because it's going to sell millions and millions of copies regardless. But I also do feel like they may treat this with more respect than
treat Zelda with respect. Come on, right? Yeah,
I think they'll definitely give it a little bit more treatment. Look at Fire Emblem last year. Look at the what that got. I mean, that got some really cool packaging for the special edition stuff. I want to see something like that with Zelda, and I think we will get that with Zelda.
See, maybe they can get away with it because Twilight Princess and Wind Waker are already HD'd. They're going to do nothing to those games. they're going to be straight ports of the Wii U game.
I didn't say they were going to do much with that. I mean, just the packaging.
They're putting in no effort on those two games. It's literally repackaging, and there you go. And we're going to happily hand over $60 for an effort that cost Nintendo a weekend's work to port. And maybe they can do a special box. I mean, even Skyward Sword for the 25th anniversary got the nice gold box with the gold Wii stick. At least they put in some effort there, and maybe, I mean, give us a soundtrack. Give us a little more than the bare minimum of what you gave us.
What if it wasn't just the two games? What if they took Minish Cap and threw it in there too?
Oh,
they would throw that on Nintendo Switch Online before they would throw that in a package.
Whoa, that's Game Boy Advance, dude. That's like Switch 2 talk. We're not getting into that.
What I want to know is what happens to the Majora's Mask and the other N64 game, Ocarina of Time. I mean, they are obviously very, very important games when we talk about a Zelda collection, but I also feel like they don't really have any plans on bringing those to a collection. Do you think they will bring them to a collection, or do you think maybe they'll unveil N64, on the online?
That's what I kind of think. I think N64, and then those are part of it right away. Maybe
you actually, if I'm Nintendo and I thought these plans out fully, I'm in a perfect year where I have new Pokemon Snap coming out, probably coming out after March. So if in March I can launch N64 games on Nintendo Switch Online as a pre-order bonus, I add Pokemon Snap N64 to Nintendo Switch Online.
Oh.
And now that gets you excited for new Pokemon Snap. Then I can put on Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in anticipation of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker for the 35th anniversary collection. You can have this roadmap that's so simple to plan out, and you can take advantage of nostalgia and build up hype to your retail releases of these games and sell even more copies. But it's Nintendo. Will they actually do that?
We always think about them adding Nintendo Online stuff like the systems. We always think about them adding it around the anniversary of when most people signed up when they first launched it. But now we've cycled through so many and people have signed up at different times. They could technically announce Nintendo 64 for the online service in like April to start off their fiscal year if they really wanted to. Like I don't think they're bound to September or like October or something.
The only part I struggle with that is, do they increase the price?
Yep, that's gonna be the problem, because I feel like they can't, like, I think they're already up against it. Like I think they're like, we have like 80 games on here right now. Well, but like if you look at it from Nintendo, like they're looking at this like $20 a year for like all these Marios, all these Zeldas.
I mean, Nate, we just said that 3D All Stars sold 5 million plus whatever with ports or emulation that weren't really enhanced in any way. So if you slap Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time on a cartridge, that's going to sell 5 million just in the same way. So I think if they are going to offer those on a N64 online service, then they want to get a piece of that. I think they want a piece of that.
We got
that
pricing
money.
tiers.
They would want a piece of that, but I'll counter that with, we have Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time 3D on the 3DS. We had remastered versions of those. Nintendo putting it on Nintendo Switch Online is going to be the original N64 versions. We're not going to have those quality of life improvements.
Nintendo doesn't even acknowledge that a 3DS exists anymore. I mean, we have to talk about the current.
But Nate, what they did with the Nintendo and they did with the Super Nintendo is they launched with more than just like 2 or 3 games when they first put it out. So they would drop like 10, 15 N64 games all at once and keep it at $20 a year.
Nah, they want to keep it true to the N64 experience, and they would give us about 2 games a year.
That's probably true.
Well, yeah. I mean, the 64 library they'd blitz through that pretty quick if they went that. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, they could get some weird games. Couldn't they get like Jet Force Gemini or something? Throw it on there.
It's a great game. That's not a weird game.
The best. It's better than GameCube, right? N64 with all the games that it has, right?
Well, I mean, GameCube, that's like $60 a year right there.
I'm not taking the bait today, OJ. Let's move on.
I tried to throw a little bit out there. It's okay. I'll calm down.
I feel like either Nintendo is going to start taking games away when they add games, or they're just going to look at the price and be like, you know what? If you want N64, it's $30 a year.
They won't take games away because of a simple reason: is that Nintendo sees value in their back catalog. But the problem is on the Wii U and even the 3DS, virtual console games were not selling all that well outside of a handful of games. They perceive their value as greater than what it actually is. How much are you actually going to spend on Super Metroid? If it was how many people are going to buy Super Metroid again as a virtual console release on the Switch?
People would have you think that they need to put their everything on there, and everyone's gonna buy every single classic game for as much as people think.
One of those games actually sells, and it sells to like 10,000 people. But people assume like, oh my god, I'm gonna buy this. No, you're not. You like to say you are, but you're not going to. It's all this hyperbole, fanboy dream dribble that we see all the time. Just like the people saying, oh my god, we need Mother 3. Yeah, there's like 15,000 of you who want Mother 3.
Hey,
it's just the 15,000 of you won't shut the hell up about it.
That's right.
You're not going to buy the game.
I would buy Super Metroid on the Switch if they brought it. Like
Yeah,
if they
it's
didn't have it on all,
Everyone wanted a new Kid Icarus. Kid Icarus Uprising comes out. It's a fantastic game, one of the 3DS's best. It sells 1 million copies. Where were all the people demanding a new Kid Icarus? Oh, suddenly they all shut the hell up, and they didn't actually show up to put their money where their mouth is, which is very which is so common with all gamers. And then you have this guy comment in the chat.
Wait a minute, Nate. All 1 million people who wanted it bought the game.
Yeah, only 1 million
And that
people.
sounds like a lot. When you're
more.
online, 1 million people complaining, that's a lot of people. But then when it comes to the actual sales, well, all those 1 million people bought it. There you go.
Oh, we needed more than 1 million. And then we have this comment in the chat saying Nintendo is awesome and is already winning so much they can do whatever. No, that's what happens with a company is you get the Wii U. They can't do whatever they want. When you become common and you become basically, comfortable with what you're doing, you lose people because you sit there and say, we don't need to try anymore. Well, guess who is trying? Microsoft and Sony. And when they try, we as the consumers find better options. And when Nintendo gets lazy and rests on their morals, what we end up with is boring, unimaginative releases. They can't be relaxed. And thankfully, in 2021, they're not going to be relaxed. So you can take your self-righteous, Nintendo can do whatever you want attitude and shut the hell up. Because if Nintendo was run by you, we'd be fucking bankrupt.
This man's upset over his ceiling, bro.
Can we call this SpawnCast clip? Call it Nate the Hate definitely isn't mad.
This man Roof is taking some of the beating here, bro. He's upset.
All right then.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, there's no outro. Next segment, we're
No,
done.
Nate. Hey, yo, look, I'll say this right now, man. Nate,
Should I click the done button?
Episode just ends.
Look, to kind of, like I see what Nate's saying, man. Like, obviously, like, you can't rest on your laurels. You can't sit there and be, just do whatever. You definitely got to have, having some feedback is good. Like, having fans say, like, hey, this would be good. This is what we want. That's dope. Like, I get what Nate's saying, with it. But at the same time, I do think that this year, there's obviously going to be, like, a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff. So I think that Zelda usually gets, like, Zelda got some cool stuff that, like, Mario didn't get. Like, let's say, like, for the Wii U, even, like, for the Wii U, what was it? Zelda got, like, a really cool package, like, with the Twilight Princess amiibo, right? Like, it came, like, in a bigger box for Twilight Princess. So even, like, the standard one there, if you wanted that, they did that. They also
even got the special edition Wii console, too.
Yeah, right? The Wii U console. Special edition Wii U gamepad and for Wind Waker. So, it definitely seems like that it's going to be a little bit better when it comes to things, this year. So that's cool. But I see what Nate's saying for sure.
Yeah, I think it will get more than Mario, but it just remains to be seen what they give us, because there's so much Zelda they could possibly give us. So it's hard to predict.
The thing. There's a lot that they could give us, but we have to come back to this is Nintendo. This isn't a company who likes to give us anything for, I'll say, free. They charge us a premium for everything, and that's where it would make great sense to have Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on Nintendo Switch Online. But as you brought up, MVG, if I can put it in a package and sell it for $60, Nintendo's going to do that to us. They will nickel and dime us at every chance they get. And that's where, when it comes to these anniversaries in Nintendo, how are they basically going to screw us for being fans? How are they going to exploit our nostalgia and give us a product that isn't worthy of the caliber of the franchise that they're going to put out? And that's the thing with Nintendo, is they always manage to do this to us.
They gave us Mario
Yeah.
35. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I mean, they could give us a special edition console. I mean, this could really go a number of different ways.
N64 Classic. There we go. Now we're
I
talking
don't
busy.
think so.
I just want the Zelda collection to look and run good. That's it. I don't care too much about special features. It'd be nice if, honestly, I want an instruction booklet. The fact that no games have instruction booklets does kind of irk me. Honestly, I just think it'd be cool if we got Wind Waker HD in there, packaged nice and clean, with the changes made in that Twilight Princess HD and something else. That's all I want. I'll be happy.
Okay. And then we do have Metroid 35th anniversary. Huh?
Who?
Huh?
I mean, I think Prime Trilogy might be something that comes this year, right? I mean,
well, okay. So the moment that Prime Trilogy actually gets announced, it tells me that Metroid Prime 4 is actually getting close to being ready to at least be shown and then maybe talked about for release.
I think of it as another way. I think we still need more time on Metroid Prime 4, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So here's Metroid Prime Trilogy, and
yes,
enjoy it.
Do we know who is doing the? Because obviously Metroid Prime Trilogy was rumored for so long. I feel like even who was, because I almost thought it was Retro Studios who was porting that over.
Well, I mean, Nerd has the GameCube emulation, so do we know if it's a port or if it's just emulation? I mean, we don't really know what Metroid Prime Trilogy is now, because now that we know that Sunshine runs with emulation,
yeah, that's a good point.
They could just give the same treatment to Metroid Prime Trilogy, which is totally fine. I mean,
but they had to do something different for the Wii version of Galaxy, right? They had to do something a little different, and so I assume Metroid Prime 3 then would get some different work then too.
Yeah, they'd have to rework the controls in hopefully a better fashion than what they did for Galaxy.
Yes, yeah, but that, I mean, like, that's, I would like to think that Trilogy is coming out this year, but anytime I mention it, it's like it doesn't happen. So basically, if Prime 4, because Prime 4 that got rebooted in that was right at the beginning of 2019, so like I assume they figured all that stuff out maybe 2 or 3 months before and handed it off to Retro Studios. So like 2018, late 2018 maybe is when it officially got rebooted internally. Like I think if I had to guess, I'd assume it's right around there. So we're coming up on what, over 2 years now that it's been in development with Retro. It's 2018, 2020, now 2021. Yeah. So we think it's a 3-year dev cycle for this game.
No.
4-year, 5-year,
10-year.
Yeah, I mean,
depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, I mean, Metroid is the hardest thing to predict. I mean, I think Zelda. I mean, we're definitely going to get something as Zelda this year, but with Metroid, I mean, man, I just don't know. Like every year we talk about it, and it's like it's another year down. We're 4 years into it now, but I mean, we have to see something this year from Metroid. I mean, I think the Prime Trilogy is what we get.
I like the idea of the Prime Trilogy as well, even if that's all they do for the little anniversary thing, which I get it. Metroid's not like a massive franchise for them. I understand that. So that's something like that.
There's also the 2D Metroid rumors as well.
Yep.
I mean, that may be something. Maybe Prime Trilogy plus 2D Metroid.
I feel like you could release them like, I think that'd be okay because they wouldn't overrun each other. One's 2D, one's Prime. Which
Can I ask Nate, what is the studio Mercury Steam working on?
What is Mercury Steam working on?
Yeah, I just want to know. Do you know?
Yeah.
What are they working on?
Working on a 2D Metroid.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
That's what's it. There you go, guys.
It does. 2021 does seem like the year that they would, because that 2D Metroid's been rumored for a while now too.
So wait a minute, Nate. Can you say that again, just for people that miss? What are they working on? Mercury Steam.
Mercury Steam working on a 2D Metroid.
Okay. 2D Metroid, Mercury Steam. They're the same guys for the people in the chat. Those are the same ones who made Metroid: Samus Returns. Fantastic remake of Metroid 2. So maybe we see something this year. Now, are they working, Nate? Do you think it is a new game, or do you think it is a remake of an older game?
Well, now that is the $1 million question.
It is. So do you have $1 million answer? Say Metroid. Just say Metroid Fusion real slowly. It's Remake Fusion.
Remake Fusion.
Remake Fusion.
That'd be pretty cool actually if it was a remake of Fusion.
Dude,
Wouldn't
I
it be
hope we
better
get.
if it was like a sequel to Fusion?
I mean, that'd be cool too. Yeah.
Yes, that is the correct answer.
I got all the material I need for a video. I'm good.
Yeah, right.
This is good.
Big leak. It's already. I'm gonna wake up 7 a.m. It's gonna be OJ going.
Pretty much. My Joy-Con boy shirt.
There's people in the chat saying Super Metroid remake. Do not remake Super Metroid. That game is perfection.
I don't think we really need it.
It does not need a remake.
I think
That's
that
all I think
a sequel to Fusion though would be pretty good. I like the sound of that actually, especially if that's this year and they have Prime Trilogy not right next to it, but like around it, like a month or two around it or something. I think it'd be fine. That would be a good 2021 for Nintendo, because their holiday game would be, we think, maybe like Breath of the Wild 2 and then Pokemon thrown in there. Earlier in there, you have some Metroid action, Prime Trilogy, and then you have 2D Metroid. Talking about Pokemon Snap. When's Bayonetta 3 come out, actually?
Tomorrow.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, no. Dude, wait a minute. That's all I was thinking. No More Heroes 3 is probably going to come out first half of this year, I assume. Because they were going to try to get it out last year. So I would, maybe that's something that follows up in April or May. Bayonetta 3, when does this game come out?
October this year. October.
August? Maybe August. I'm trying to piece together the release schedule for them right now. I'm like, August is still open right now with what I have written down. I am very concerned that Bayonetta 3 does not come out this year.
I'm not anticipating it does.
Oh, man.
I think it gets pushed into early 2022. First half 2022.
All right, so the amount of... Okay.
So what's Platinum working on then right now?
I think they're working on Bayonetta 3. There has to be something we don't understand.
They're working on. They did an update, which John, you talked about. I talked about it as well. So
yeah.
They said that Kamiya says the development's still going well. They know it's been a while, but it's still going well. They're also working on Babylon's Fall. You guys forgot about that game, PS4. Yep. So they're also working on that too. So those are the two games that we know. They're probably, and they're also working on the
Project
GG game. So those are the games that we do know that they're working on.
I'm just Bayonetta 3. There has to be something more to this game, because I think we're picturing like Bayonetta 2, right? What if they did something completely different, much larger, bigger for Bayonetta 3, and it's just taking them more time? That's where we are with expectations right now, right? Is like this has to be a much more complex game than we were expecting.
If it was Bayonetta 2.5, if it was just simply like it would have already been done.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have taken them this long. But what Kamiya said at the beginning, saying that he wants to do something completely different, like something that reinvents kind of like the action game. Like he didn't say that it was going to be like a simple follow-up. Because like if that was that, you could have just taken the same engine, just made the graphics a little bit better, and it probably would have been really good, right? It probably would have been fun. People would have liked it. I would have probably loved it. But it looks like they're trying to do something a bit different. It doesn't look like they're trying to do like the same thing.
Okay, so that is going to be interesting, because he'll keep getting asked. But they could even show the game though this year finally, because I think that's what people are really asking is like, why is this taking so long? What's the deal? If they show the game, it is a much bigger game than we were expecting, and it's coming out next year. Then people will be like, okay, it has a release year. We've seen it. That's fine. So at this point, I'm anticipating something from Pokemon this month, and then maybe something from Nintendo next month. That's kind of where I'm sitting right now. What does everyone else think about possible directs? Because Nate, you were asking for one as soon as the ball dropped, so I'm just trying to help you out.
Hey, just saying, where's the direct?
Okay, Pokemon Direct in 2 weeks, Nintendo Direct in a month.
I think they're going to be pretty silent this month, other than talking about what is the Bowser's Fury. I think they're going to talk about that a little bit. And I think February they're going to start ramping up the Year of Zelda.
What about the elephant in the room that we haven't even discussed yet? The new hardware revision.
The Switch Pro.
That's what we're finishing up with. That's what we're finishing
Before we get into that, everyone we've touched on it briefly, but we've kind of ignored it. Is that January? Yeah, maybe a mini, maybe a partnership direct, maybe something from Mario. Nothing's too significant. February is Pokemon's birthday. It's Pokemon's 25th.
Yeah.
That's when they do the direct.
If I'm the Pokemon company, that's why I'm doing my direct.
Here it is,
'Cause
guys.
I'm gonna lean into nostalgia as hard as I can.
Diamond and Pearl remake. Diamond and Pearl remake, Nate.
I think that's what you do at the end of the year, right? That's the big one.
Maybe.
Diamond and Pearl remake.
That's my favorite. For those who don't know.
Well, what if they do Diamond and Pearl remake and then they also take like Pokemon Yellow or Crystal and dropped it on the Switch?
I don't care about that. I just
As a
want a
release.
Diamond and Pearl. I want a Diamond and Pearl remake.
Well, like
That's
like
what I
on the
want.
eShop for like $20 or something like that. They just drop it on there.
Those games play like Dookie. Like those games play horrible. Those games play so horrible. Like if they did like Gold and Silver, okay, those games play better. Like if they did like the ones that have already been remade, but like the original.
Fire Red?
The original Fire Red, yeah, but like the original ones play so
I like the original.
slow.
The artwork
jank,
is so funny.
they suck, and I love them, bro. Love them.
If they do Fire Red, cool. Fire Red, Leaf Green, whatever. Yeah, that's dope because those were like remakes of the original ones, or like Gold and Silver. Those are dope, but like the original ones, I don't know about those.
I feel like they're gonna have another eShop release too. I don't know how good it'll be, but I feel like they'll drop something on the eShop.
Pokemon Snap N64.
You really think they're gonna do that with Pokemon Snap, like a new Pokemon Snap game coming out this year? Think they'll also drop that on the 64? I mean, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to celebrate Pokemon and I got a new Snap, I want to give you the old Snap as a part of that celebration, or I'm going to make it a pre-order bonus. I'm going to do something with it because it just makes too much sense. Why would I ignore the original Pokemon Snap? There's people who have never played that game, and I need to get you interested in this new, this new entry. You have no idea what it is. Let me introduce you to it. Let the game market itself with its original product.
Sure. I mean, we could see that. That'll be interesting. And though I'm sure there'll all kinds of merchandise and the trading card. I believe Jordan was telling me that new card set's coming out. So they'll do all kinds of stuff. They'll probably do stuff with the anime. So it'll be a big year for Pokemon fans. I will say that. But MVG brought it up, so it's his fault. We'll talk about the hardware. the revision has been much talked about since the Switch was announced. There were rumors about a Switch Pro while the current Switch was in the factory. It was really funny. So I think at this point everyone's expecting Nintendo to release some sort of Switch revision. No one knows really what it is, but like a new piece of hardware from them that's not the current Switch or the Switch Lite. And there's still a lot of talks, especially after seeing what the Switch was going to originally be. People still going back to that and looking at it about it being like its own handheld. Now they're like, oh, maybe they'll release their own little cheap TV version of the Switch, or it's a Switch Pro, which is a more powerful Switch, or replacement for the current Switch. What do you guys think right now?
I think it's going to be a very minor upgrade. I think it's going to be a Switch Pro. They're going to call it the new Nintendo Switch, and it's going to very slightly increase the dock power to make it where you get a little bit more resolution. And that's it.
I 100% agree with Max. I think it's a upgrade. I think the focus will be making it look better on a 4K display, which means they'll bring in some type of AI upscaling technique, whether it's DLSS or some other type of upscaling, so it does look better on 4K. Because, like, to be honest, if you dock a Switch and compare it to a PS5 and an Xbox Series S or an X, you can tell it's starting to look a little dated. So I think they just need to get that that upscaling back.
I wonder if they'll add some sort of like custom hardware to a new chip or something that they
It's
put
possible.
in there.
They could add it to the dock. I mean, they could have a new dock that has it in the dock. It's definitely possible. I don't know, like from a hardware perspective, how they're going to approach it, but I think the focus will be making it look better on a more modern television and slightly boosting clock speeds. And John, we've talked about this before, but the the memory bandwidth and all that stuff gets a boost as well, just to make some of those games run better.
That's an interesting point, MVG, that the dock itself could have some sort of hardware for AI upscaling, because then they could technically, I guess, the current Switch would even be able to work in that.
Yeah, I mean, think of like an open source, the OSSC.
Yeah.
You plug into you plug it into that, and then the OSSC up, like line doubles it or whatever, upscales it, 4 times or whatever. So I mean, they could do something like that.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I think a lot of people are starting to think, okay, yeah, it's going to be not like a massive PS4 Pro type jump from the PS4. Is that what you're thinking, Nate? I feel like a lot of people are coming to that conclusion now, or that expectation.
Which expectation is that?
That it's
distracted by a picture.
That it's not going to be like a PS4 Pro. Basically, it's going to be an upgrade that is there just to get to the next Switch, basically. But it's not going to be like a massive jump. Like we're talking like, okay, things that are 720p will now be 1080p, basically, as an example in dock, right?
I think we go a little beyond a stopgap.
Okay, interesting.
So I will resist the MVG Spawn Dreamcast guy take. I will be on the opposite end of the fence.
Okay, so you think they're going to go for something that could last up to 3 years, and it replaces the current Switch over the next 10 months or something, like the 3D, like the new 3DS XL replaced the 3DS XL.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's more along the lines of that type of product.
I did talk to John Linneman about this, and Nate, he agrees with you. Like he does feel like it will be a little more significant than what we're anticipating. So it's definitely possible. Definitely possible.
I think it's because it's like whenever I think of Nintendo, I think of them going like, all right, I want this to be better, but I don't want to spend a lot of money, kind of thing. Is just what I'm thinking. But you never know. Nvidia might be like, hey, we can do some cool stuff if you want to, and they go, okay, well, let's do it.
I see some people in chat saying I'm being too pessimistic. I'm just holding back my expectations right now. If it's better than I think, I mean, I'm buying it no matter what. Obviously, I'm buying it no matter what. But I'm trying to keep myself from getting too overhyped. I do hope it's freaking good though.
Because if it's good, then you'll just be more excited for it.
Yeah. Then I'll make a big old video that's clickbaity and says I was wrong about Switch Pro going like this. And I get a million views.
That's a good thing to be wrong about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't think anyone is being too pessimistic personally on this, because if you want to go back and look at all of Nintendo's modular systems, right, that you like handheld or whatever it is, it's always been a little bit of an increase. It's some of them more significant than others. This goes all the way back to the Game Boy. Like you can say like Game Boy Color was their pro version of the Game Boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was like a big deal back then. I mean, if you look at the Game Boy Advance, they added a backlit, backlit display. That was huge because we can play at night. Like that was like we can actually see the game now. Like DS, they had the DSi, which added, that had a little bit more power and everything. It wasn't huge upgrade, but it had a little bit more. 3DS, new Nintendo 3DS had a little bit more power. So I'm kind of in that boat. I'm like, hey, they're gonna release a new system. It's gonna add a little bit of more power. Maybe we get 900p on, or 1080p on handheld a bit more. It's gonna use some DLSS to make it seem better than it actually is, and they'll just kind of roll with that. And then that'll take them till 2022. And then in 2022, 2023, we get the next generation Switch, because we're already in 2021, guys. This is the fifth calendar year of the Switch. Yep. Fifth calendar year, 2017 through 2020. That's 4, and then this one would be the 5th one. So I think that would be fine for right now. They're not getting third-party games anyway, regardless of the situation. So it doesn't matter about, this is going to get you third-party. No, it's not. No matter what they do, no, it's not. So it's not going to get you that because it doesn't have the type of architecture and like what they're doing with the PS5 and the storage and all that. It's just not there. So that doesn't matter. So they can wait and hold off till the technology gets a bit better for what they need to do, and it's a better price, because they're not going to release a $400, $500 portable that lasts for 3 hours, or battery life's like 2-3 hours or something like that. So I think it's fine. Like a little bit stronger DLSS, get some games that are better, looks a bit better on the TV, like MVG was saying. Nothing crazy with the power, still affordable. Maybe it's still $300, and this is the new actual regular dock Switch or whatever. Yep. And then you roll with that for the
So I had some thoughts about that too for the pricing. All right, so let's say they keep it $300. Well, but if they sell it without the dock, it's just the system itself. Because and the reason I say that's because Nintendo's done this before. They left stuff out of the box to try to make it cheaper. Like, remember when the new 3DS XL didn't come with a power cord?
Yeah. I think the price will be $299. I don't think they're going to increase the price. But one thing that I want to make very clear is there is free performance on the table that Nintendo can tap into today and get gains, like with the current hardware, right? We know about Mariko, we know about the bandwidth limitations, we know about the limitations on RAM. You can already get, and I've done overclocking videos, you've seen some of the gains that you can get when you boost the performance of the Switch. So out of the box, you can get free performance, right? So really now, if you combine that with a 4K, upscaled approach, and you increase the memory bandwidth, you're already looking at a pretty good boost in performance that will smoothen out frame rates, and it will give you all the current games between now and the end of the generation a nice, a nice boost in performance. So I do stick with, I don't really think they're going to do too much to the existing hardware. They're going to tweak it in the areas that give the best gains, like the low-hanging fruit will get those increases. But yeah, I don't really expect anything beyond that. But I do think that, what they do release will be significant enough where people say, man, this is actually quite a little bit more powerful than the last generation, than the last revision of the hardware. So I'm pretty happy with this. But I do think that $299 is where they're going to stick with. I don't think they're going to increase the price at all.
It'd be really funny as if the whole thing ended up being a dock that you buy that's like this new dock that upscales, and then they just pushed a firmware patch to the Mariko-based Switch systems to overclock and change some settings, and all of a sudden it runs a bit better and upscales on their TV.
It's possible, but I guess it's possible, John. They could do that. I don't know from a technical perspective, from a hardware side, whether that's feasible, but I mean, on paper, it sounds like something they could potentially do.
Yeah, just a possibility, I guess. I would prefer just new hardware. It looks slightly different or something, so we can tell the difference.
But more RAM is something that's coming as well, because developers I've spoken to, and the word around is we want more memory. Developers aren't happy with the 3.5 gig they have available to them. They definitely want more. So
I think they make the jump to like 8.
I think so, or at least 6 at a minimum. They get 6. If Nintendo wants to keep the cost down, but it would be nice if they got 8. But 6 or 8, I think would be fine.
Sure. I mean, that would really be for the Switch that would push higher resolution anyway. So I'm sure that would. Like, here's I guess the last question we'll end off before we finish up with some super chats and I'll check Streamlabs. Is do you think they would go the route they did with the new 3DS and have a couple of exclusive games for the new hardware?
Nah, I don't think they want to risk it.
Are we talking Nintendo only or third parties as well?
Either one. Because they did it on the new 3DS XL, right? With Xenoblade, that was just on there.
What if they packaged one game in with it that could only be played on it? Not necessarily something other people could buy, but if you bought the system, you would get the game that was on it.
Exclusive pack-in, that's a good idea, Evan. I hadn't thought that. Maybe something like that.
I'm not sure if Nintendo themselves would do an exclusive software to it, but I could see third parties having software that out of the Switch brand only comes to the Switch revision of 2021. But by saying that, I mean it's going to come to other platforms like Sony and Microsoft. It just won't come to the original Switch. Okay. So it'll come to the Switch revision plus Sony, Microsoft, but not Switch OG.
So they would have to have it. They'd have to have a new logo, new Nintendo Switch or something at the bottom. And okay,
What new in front of it?
Interesting. I guess they could bar that off in the eShop, but the problem you'd run into, I think, is the confusion at retail. They'd have to make it very clear that your Switch Lite and your regular Switch won't play this game, really.
I mean, they did it with the Xenoblade Chronicles box was like different enough that as soon as you looked at it, you could tell this isn't a standard 3DS game.
Sure. Yeah. I do kind of think Nintendo will try to make it like basically playable across the board for these games. And just if you're willing to play with a lower resolution on your Switch and you're fine with it, there you go. You play it there.
Yeah, I mean, think about the PS4 Pro and the PS4. I mean, I don't really see it deviating too far from something like that, where you really, I mean, sure, there's PS4 Pro patches, but there will be patches for the new system as well. But yeah, I don't really expect it to be, separated in any way. I think it'll just be a seamless, smooth transition across all three Switch systems.
I mean, I think Nintendo might have a marketing challenge coming up with this hardware.
It's gonna be interesting. Hopefully, they don't pull Wii U.
Well, people thought that the Nintendo 3DS was gonna fail because of the name, and it did really well. So,
I mean, it is the new one. That's the one I want. The new one, the new 3DS. It's right there in the title.
That was the clickbait back then. I know a lot of you guys weren't creating content like that, but that was the clickbait back then. Is that this is gonna fail because the naming is so bad, and nobody's going to be able to buy it or know what it is, and the exclusive games and it's just going to be a disaster. It ended up being really good, and then they ended up even making things worse. They had the 2DS, and then they did the new Nintendo 2DS, and it just got worse and worse. But then sales just kept on going better and better. People liked it and were able to find out which one that they wanted and stuff. So we'll see.
So now you're saying if they call it a new Nintendo Switch, marketing that is going to be very difficult for them, or potentially some confusion?
There could be the confusion, especially if you have third-party games released only for the revision. You're going to see some sort of confusion there because we're still going to have that OG Switch and the Switch Lite. Eventually, those will be phased out over time. Like the new 3DS eventually phased out the original 3DS. But until you get to that point, you have to deal with that, we'll say a year and a half of that potential marketing confusion. And it really comes down to how Nintendo rolls it out. If they lead into the revision with preparation of already downscaling production lines of the current Switch and Switch Lite in anticipation of the revision fully replacing it by, let's say, next summer, then maybe they can avoid some of that. But if you have third parties releasing software only for this revision, you do have to come up with a new box. You do have to come up with a very clear marketing strategy to illustrate this. And that kind of comes down to Nintendo working with their third-party partners to come up with that marketing strategy. So Nintendo, they have to approach this very, very smart. They can't come into this reckless or without proper planning. And I hope they're fully aware of that. I think they are, because at this point, you probably have 80 million Switches out there. So that's a large base. And, you can't just abandon that at a whim. But so far, Nintendo with the Switch, they have done their marketing very, very well. I think that will continue, but it's still about that coming across the message loud and clear. I mean, Microsoft hit a little bit with the Series X and S coming from Xbox One X and Xbox One S. Luckily, I guess, for Microsoft, is the One X and the S are essentially discontinued. They're going to be phased out of retail shelves very soon because they stopped shipping those units about 3 to 6 months ago. So it was whatever's left in warehouses for the original Xbox One. Nintendo, they have to be very clear when they announce this revision and what the purpose of it is.
I hope it's just a box for $300. Just see that confusion.
Yeah, if it's just a box, then they should have confusion.
No, I mean, like, I hope it's not even a hybrid. I hope it's just a box. This is the Nintendo release. Just see the confusion there.
They could do that. I mean, Nintendo, you just can't come out with some weird naming scheme of Nintendo Switch U, new Nintendo Switch. It has to be something a little, even if it's Nintendo Switch Pro, it's probably clear enough. People understand. I bought a premium product.
Yeah.
But that's that's their challenge for this year, to craft a well-constructed marketing strategy.
I think a lot of us have been trained pretty well by like Apple and even Sony now, to where we see Pro on the end of the revision and we're like, okay, yeah, that's the better, system then.
Or a letter. I think we're trained XS if they put L or LAR or P. Nintendo Switch P.
Let me finish up here. We got the super chats and then some Streamlabs as well. Corey says, little drunk tuning in. Hope the funds help. Cheers. Wishbone says, if Sega still has control of their forgotten IPs that go back to the Master System, etc., imagine all those exclusive remaked on a Spartan console. There we go. Zoom says your New Year discussion is Obsidian Erasure. Samuel says some SpawnCasters have talked about wanting to see a Zelda 2 remake in the past. I'd love to see Yacht Games take a swing at it. I wouldn't mind Zelda 2 getting a remake, though. I mentioned that before for the Zelda anniversary. That would be an interesting one to see.
There's a game coming out next year that is inspired by Zelda 2. It's from the guys who made, what was it called? Just Shapes and Beats, or Just Beats and Shapes. Mm-hmm. They have a Zelda 2 crossover with Castlevania coming out early next year. Oh, I forget the name of it though.
And Infernal says, how do you find the sales on the PS5 store? When you first go to the PS5 store, you scroll down, it says sales right now on it. Like there's a little button there. It says sales. It's like browse games, PS5 sales. something else.
I just bought the last campfire. People actually kept tweeting me about it, right? That's what it's called. It's on sale right now for $10. Yeah, last campfire. People kept tweeting me that it's good, so I haven't played it yet, but $10.
Opus says my smart TV turns off the switch when I'm done with it. Are you saying this will not work with a PS5, the Series X and S? Turns off the switch when I'm done with it.
He has the HDMI thing set up so when the system shuts off, it turns the TV off. If he turns the switch on, the TV turns on. It's one of the features of the switch.
I have that. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The PS5 interacts pretty well with the Sony TV I have here. So it'll get the TV on and it'll turn the TV off when I'm done with it and all that. So do you think this is from Ed saying Cyberpunk 2077 is a great game if there weren't any bugs. Don't hate for the bandwagon. I don't know. It's I started getting burned out on that one. I got the Cyberpunk fatigue is what I'm calling it now.
There's no bandwagon, dude. The game isn't that good.
Yeah, millions of people are independently on the same bandwagon.
The game isn't that good.
It's not as good as they were describing early on. I will say that.
How dare you jump on the bandwagon, MVG? How dare you have an opinion of your own? Get on the bandwagon of blind love and joy.
I play video games.
The game is broken. The game is pretty broken.
Some people like it's good. Some
critique a product.
It's good for some. It's not good for others. That's basically.
We should all just be influencers and get chairs and blindly praise the product we're told to praise.
God, can you stop bringing up the chair? I
are you
got
okay?
a chair myself. Okay, no, I'm joking. I did.
Nate is mad today.
We all need chairs and to say Cyberpunk is the best. I haven't played it yet, but they told me in the script that it's the best with my chair.
Nate, do you need a chair, Nate? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Do you need a chair? I mean, just a chair in general.
I wanted to go on a rant. I would go on a rant from that. What's that website that last week said everyone's a clown who reviewed the game, but they conveniently left out every influencer who blindly praised the game, who were legitimately bought by the publisher and were clowned into blind praise. I don't understand how every influencer is just completely forgotten when it comes to all this critique of media. You actually have paid shills in this industry that are never addressed, and they attack media who gives a game a review score of a 6 out of 10, but they're the clown for actually critiquing the product, but not the person who's giving a check or a chair or a GPU to say, this game's awesome. Like, that's amazing. You have people for the Home Shopping Network paid for by the publisher who are just given a pass. But the media who critique the game, they're clowns. Actually look to the clowns. Actually go to the circus and call the clowns out instead of the people who went to the circus to say, this circus sucks.
Oh, no, don't go to circus now. But maybe next year. Maybe next year.
I just want like a yellow nose, like a nose with my chair when it comes in the mail. I want the nose and the chair. All right.
Nate just showed up in a bad mood tonight.
Right?
I just don't understand how the people just ignored all that and they're like, oh, it's marketing. Oh, that's cool. You're fine to go to all of these influencers' Twitter channels or YouTube channels or all this stuff and say, well, it's just marketing that this person's going to tell me that this game is awesome after they got a check for $10,000 to tell you that it's awesome. But God forbid.
Where's my check at? Wait,
Jeff writes a review and says, hey guys, this game isn't that good. Oh no, he's an asshole. He's an asshole for saying the game that you hope is going to be great isn't that good. But the person who told you it's good, who took money and took product for free, they're just, oh, that's fine. They're just an external marketing arm of the publisher. But they're not shills. Oh, they're not? Really? Because that's the definition of a shill. But you have all these 15-year-olds. Yay! I love video games.
God damn, Nate. Every direction.
Nate, how's that roof repair coming along?
Yeah. The good news is, Nate,
awesome.
you got a hole in your roof, but you could just pack some salt in there, and I think you'll be good for the rest of the freaking winter.
Oh,
Hey,
yo, that roof
these are the
really causing
truths of the
problems,
industry,
right?
and it's weird how years ago people got mad at media because I got a notebook from Bethesda that had an Elder Scrolls symbol on it when I went to the media event, and then I wrote my preview and said, hey, this game has problems. People are like, wow, you're a paid shill. Now we actually have legitimate paid shills in the industry, and just no one gives a shit. What happened?
That's because it's the deterioration of the name shill. Like anytime somebody says something in defense, any little thing, or they'll say you're a shill, so that's the thing about it, is that so many people that aren't are that name's being thrown around. So therefore, when something does happen, it just seems like it's just regular at this point. That's what I've seen.
I mean, is it that, and also that people just view influencers as like, oh, you're my friend because you interact with me, like.
It's true. I like tweets, and that means I'm your best friend.
I like to think that there has been some lessons learned after this. I'm hopeful. I'm sitting on that hope that's going to happen. So we'll see how that plays out. But I do think, the spotlight has definitely been, shined on this stuff, and hopefully we'll see some better, things that come out of this going forward. Hopefully.
Okay, let's go to Ghost says PS5 will crush Switch 1 year sales, way more AAA games. I don't know if they're gonna be able to make enough PS5s anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna get enough out there either way. Scott says it's Saturday, and you know what that means. Danny Boy says Happy New Year. Quick question, Spawn. Ever work on a PS4 Pro that makes?
I have to address that previous comment.
Okay,
read it again. The previous one.
It's Saturday, and you know what that means.
Yeah. Rest in peace to John Huber, Luke Harper, and Brody Lee. That's kind of his catchphrase. AEW.
There you go.
Great man.
Danny Boy says, Happy New Year. Quick question, Spawn. Ever work on a PS4 Pro that makes crackling static noises? Switched out my hard drive, guessing it's the power supply.
Does the audio make the crackling? Yeah, if the audio makes the crackling, it might be the port, or possibly a chip on the board is just completely screwed. But if you turn it on, it makes a crackling noise.
I mean, if it starts smelling like smoke, then yeah, you might want to check the power supply. But if it's crackling, Evan might be right. It could be just audio going to the TV. But if it's the system itself and it's coming from the back of it, then yeah, maybe it is your power supply. You want to check that out. Sub-Zero says, we need another Gex game.
Where's George?
Yes, maybe.
It's we do.
Fair with that. Lenny says, have anyone tried Nucleus Co-op? I have not. Okay. Donkey Kong fan says, Donkey Kong's 40th anniversary is this year. I hope Nintendo has something really special for him because DK is my favorite fictional character.
Nope.
You know, it was interesting, John. John Cartwright on the video we did, the talk we did for Nintendo's predictions, mentioned it would be cool if instead of Mario Odyssey 2, it was a 3D Donkey Kong game that they were working on instead.
That'd be all right.
Donkey Kong 128.
128.
I mean, if we might get something, maybe a new virtual. What else is left? Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii.
There we go. Donkey Kong Country Returns Wii U or U Deluxe.
Yeah,
Super Edition.
$60 too, by the way.
With Funky Kong.
New Funky Kong mode, baby.
Richard Rodriguez says, do you think Nintendo will ever make a first-person shooter?
They did. It was called Geist. It sucked.
Red Steel.
Well, Nintendo didn't make that. That was Ubisoft.
Yeah, it was Ubisoft. Yeah, Nintendo made Geist. That was End Space. It wasn't that good of a game. And didn't Reggie try to hype it up as like their Halo for the GameCube? How wrong he was.
Very weird.
They did. I mean, Metroid Prime isn't really a first-person shooter, but it's kind of. It's first person and you shoot.
We also don't know what 4 looks like yet, though. They could lean into the action more than the previous 3 even. You never know. So and Shaker Mods with one of those little stickers. It's cool. Shadow Nexus says Microsoft should buy WB Games and remake Fear.
Yes.
I'd be okay with Fear. Yeah.
Right?
Yum says
what does Monolith make anymore?
What's what?
What's the last game Monolith made? They made Fear.
I don't know. What have they made?
They made that Middle Earth game.
Oh yeah, that's right. I like the idea of Fear though. Let's bring Fear back. That would be cool.
Yeah, Fear was a good game.
Yum says, what special edition Nintendo Switch are you going to expect this year? Something Zelda.
Of the Wild Special Edition. Let's go.
Something Zelda.
It'll be Zelda one.
I want a Final Fantasy 1. It'll never happen. Let me dream.
Now, if there is a Breath of the Wild Special Edition Switch, do you make it the OG Switch or the Pro?
The Pro.
Ooh.
I figure you make it the Switch Lite just to annoy everyone.
Knowing Nintendo, yeah, they're gonna do the Switch Lite.
Sure, Switch Lite too. I'll be like, I'm angry, but I'll buy it.
The Switch Pro would be cool. Or they just do Joy-Cons and like everyone can have it now. Unless we only make 10 of them. Nintendo Power says, still waiting on a new theme Switch Lite. There you go. It'll be Zelda. Just to annoy everyone. Worthy says, I believe using bots for purchases should be illegal, in my opinion.
I agree.
Bro.
Ghost Sniper says, Sony isn't trying and still winning.
Wow.
They're trying pretty hard. They're trying very hard right now.
Everybody's busting their assets, Sony. What?
They're trying extremely hard right now.
They tried incredibly hard. They happened to win the PS4 generation because Microsoft fell over their feet before they left the starting line.
Basically,
Sony happened to be in a Ferrari and they were already gone.
Yeah.
So, and let's see, the last 3 years, Sony has published the Game of the Year that won the most Game of the Year from numerous outlets and such. So I'd say Sony's trying pretty damn hard.
They should be trying really hard right now because they want the transition from the PS4 to the PS5 to be really quick.
People don't realize what goes into these systems, games and stuff. It's not easy. It's not easy work. You know, it's really not.
Yeah. Olu says, please understand Nate-san.
Understand what?
David says, is there any reason to hang on to my PS4 if I happen to get lucky and snag a PS5? Since I'll play my PS4 library, is there any reason I need to hang on to the old system?
No.
Unless you play Diner Joe.
Joe's Diner.
The one thing I actually still use my PS4 for is the remote play with Vita. So occasionally there are a few times if I'm playing a game and I'm farming boring trophies, I will still play it on my Vita.
Ross says all the 3D Zeldas need to come to Switch. All of them are on the failed Wii U with Virtual Console, and that is the only reason I kept that garbage machine.
That's disrespectful to the Wii U.
He was a great machine.
It is a great machine. Just had no good games.
A very curated list of games, Nate.
Games. Wait a minute. Hold up. A lot of the good games are on Switch. What are you talking about? Had no good games. A lot of the best games are on Switch. Tropical
the amount
Freeze,
of good games,
right?
would you say, if we count all their good games, they come up to what, about a dozen?
More than it. It might be more than what Microsoft had with the Xbox One.
2 dozen.
Let's just be. Can we be real here?
I mean, let's say we got Zombie U, superior on the Wii U. It's a great game.
Okay,
We got 3D World.
that's pretty good.
We got
Wind Waker,
Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
that's pretty good. We got Pokken Tournament,
Got Pokken Tournament. We're counting
Mario
Breath of the
Kart
Wild in this one.
Mario Kart 8.
We are.
Mario Kart 8.
We got Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Yep. Okay, we're still below a dozen.
Still, that's pretty good. Those are some. We got Super Mario Maker, the original.
I'll give you
got
Mario
Xenoblade-
Maker because it's superior to Mario Maker 2.
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
X.
Okay. X.
It's not bad. It's some good games.
It's not bad. Not bad. It's a nice.
Bayonetta 2.
Curated.
Bayonetta
Yep.
2, Pikmin 3, the original release of Wonderful 101,
We count Breath of the Wild on there, right?
Breath of the. I mean, you could say it. Breath of the Wild,
You can.
Captain
It's-
Toad.
It's just, unfortunately, it's just missing a Metroid Prime. It's missing a big 3D Mario game like an Odyssey.
Listen, I'm not
That's the
saying
only
it's
issue.
the
That's the
best.
only issue, really. If it
I'm
had
not saying
those,
it's
it
the
would be
best
like,
Nintendo system. I'm not saying it's the
Splatoon.
best because it's not my favorite.
Splatoon.
But to say that there isn't good games, no, there's definitely good games because a lot of them are on Switch and people enjoy those games. So there's definitely some. Could there have been more? Absolutely. Did they underperform? Absolutely. I agree with all that. But were there good games to play? Dude, they were great games.
I think it was
Super
more
Smash
the-
Brothers for Wii U, Smash for Wii U. That was a great game as well. So
yeah, I think it was more. It was just
will-
more the hardware and how they presented it, and the
Yeah.
confusion even afterwards. And there were a couple times where there were just not many games were coming out for it. It was just kind of
Well,
hanging
that's-
out.
I think the
That's
gaps.
bigger thing.
The-
Is
the
the
gap is
Wii
the
U,
problem.
it eventually got this nice little collection of quality games, but it took it 5 years to get there. We could say, I finally have enough stuff to play. That first year, it
Splatoon.
was,
You missed Splatoon. We all missed Splatoon
Yeah,
in the
Splatoon.
chat. Yes, Splatoon as well. That's a good one.
Do we mention
it's
Mario
like that's
Kart?
the first
What about
year.
Devil's
You
Third?
mentioned Mario Kart.
No,
Yeah, right.
What did you say?
third.
Devil's Third.
I heard that was a
Dude,
good one.
people love that game. I don't know why, but people love that game.
They liked the multiplayer, and then they shut it down. Like the only good part of the game, they're like, "Yeah, we're not running this
Okay.
anymore." Kill it.
And AJ says F-Zero. Did you guys see what the producer of GX said?
I did. I got a video coming on that too. Yeah. Yeah. But it doesn't mean anything.
Spoilers.
You know what? I think F-Zero would be cool if they did something like what they've done with like Tetris 99 or Mario 35 and used it as like one of those free games for the online service and just had a bunch of people pile into the races and race around.
Not disrespect F-Zero with something like that.
They're going to disrespect F-Zero with something like that.
Honoring it.
Dude, they already did. Did you
Not
guys play the F-Zero
honoring
game on
it
the
is
Wii?
with an F-Zero GX HD remaster.
Oh my gosh.
They already disrespected F-Zero. Did you not play that Nintendo Land? Did you see that
I didn't
game?
play that F-Zero because I wasn't going to ruin that franchise's caliber by playing this weird wind-up toy.
You play like this. This is how you play. This is how you play F-Zero on the Wii. Like you play like this.
You know what's going to happen? They're going to put it on mobile phones or something. Watch.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah. Sushi says, "Thank you for the great content. Spotify win." We do have to get on Spotify. Maybe that'll be a New Year's resolution to get the podcast on Spotify. Ross says, Gen 1 to 3 games, not remakes, were broken with how stats affected typing. Gen 4, Heart Gold, Soul Silver solved that with the physical special move typing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very good.
Sushi says,
I like they were broken, though.
Sushi says the contrasting colors on the Switch screen are pretty bad, as well as the speakers. An update on that would be appreciated, and take away the bezel around the screen part. Sakon 10 says, are we getting DKC Splatoon, Fire Emblem, or Kirby in 2021? Well, we're probably getting Kirby. That was kind of alluded to a little bit. I don't know how big of a release. I don't know if there's gonna be a release of like is like a huge thing, but it'll probably be a Kirby game. And DKC Donkey Kong Country. I don't know if we'll get another Donkey Kong Country. Honestly, out of these, it might just be Kirby. Might be the one that gets like the new game. Mitch says, do you guys think that Switch Pro will be based on the Parker chip, Xavier, or something custom not on the standard roadmap? Would they just fine-tune Mariko again? Which chip would be needed for DLSS 2.0? I think they would just customize the chip to their needs at this point.
Yep.
Would be my guess. I don't think it's going to be easily identifiable. We'll probably talk about the fabrication or something and try to piece it together. But I think the chip itself will be different, and that NVIDIA might even use it in their next NVIDIA Shield TV or something. Like they'll basically collaborate on putting the chip together for this Switch revision, and then they'll also drop it on their little TV set box, which would be cool for MVG because you could do a whole thing on that for emulation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm gonna guess though, is that they're gonna drop it in something else because they did that with the Switch already. And Baldwin says MVG was the best way to emulate Pokemon Red/Fire Red.
I mean, Retro Arch. I mean, there's a million different ways you could do that. It depends on what you want to run it on. I mean, you could, if you're talking about like a phone or PC or on a console. I mean, I think Retro Arch is available on pretty much everything. So I would just grab that and then just use that. I think that's the best option.
And Dark Voids. So doing the Sony discussion, Noah mentioned that MLB The Show is likely coming to Xbox and Switch this year. Happy late New Year's. That'd be interesting to see when they do that. Andrew says Geralt for Smash would be dope, even if book character. Review Tech USA said Happy New Year's, gentlemen.
Hey.
Rich, good to see you coming out.
Thank
Jonathan,
you, Cucumber.
Jonathan says, are remakes here to stay? Remakes here to stay. Yeah. We like remakes. We're old. We like them.
Yeah, right. It's what I like, but now it's new.
I think a lot of us have this thought, like going back to like PS1 games, especially what it would look like on a PS5 or something, right now, like that massive jump through generations.
What if they like remade like Chrono Cross? Like, imagine how sick that would be.
I just think the jump, like we see what happened with Resident Evil 2 remake, and now we're like, what else can we?
Well, exactly, but nobody wants to spend the money to,
isn't it? Like that's what we're expecting. We want something like that. Yeah. So I'm excited about more remakes.
Yeah.
Snowy says, searching for a new phone. Any recommendations?
Yes. OnePlus. OnePlus
is good.
Are amazing. I recommend it.
OnePlus is very good. They're well priced for what the hardware they have too. Fish Fan says, Happy New Year to the entire SpawnCast and MIA 85. Shaker Mod says, Spawnwave, my PS5 shuts down like I pulled the cord sometimes when it's in rest mode and I press the PS button on the controller. You guys are great. The PS5 needs firmware updates. It's just down like I pulled the cord sometime when it's in rest mode. Comics says, thanks for entertaining me every day for a few minutes while I'm at work. Helps to pass the time and pain. Also, I need Incredible Crisis 2. Mr. Job says, people need to understand their favorite creators are not their friends. Ludwig did a good video on this. Nate the Hate for the win. Christian says,
right.
there you go, Nate. Christian says, how about a new Metroid Prime Hunters? That's RGT's department on that one.
I'll take
Not
it.
a bad idea. I'll take it.
I'll take anything Metroid this year.
Yeah.
Give me the
At this
crumbs.
point, yeah. Loso says, do you think there will ever be another Golden Sun game, and will Vanillaware ever bring their games to Switch? I think a lot of these developers in Japan are just going to be forced. They're going to be like, well,
Yeah.
we kind of have to. This is just,
Golden Sun, there was a small rumor about Golden Sun that I covered a bit ago. Don't know if it's going to happen, but there was one. But if it does come, it's not anytime soon. But apparently Camelot could be potentially in stages of making one. But I don't know if that's even going to happen.
But yeah, anything when it comes to Japanese developers right now and publishers, a lot of their games, if they're feasible on the Switch, are just going to probably start making the jump. I mean, honestly, maybe even this year coming up. Ross says the Wii U was behind the PS3 360. It had a few decent games, but not many. No third party, and has the same CPU as GameCube Wii. It put Nintendo further behind. Well, we just talked about the first party games.
That's incorrect. It doesn't have the same CPU.
It's got
incorrect.
the tri-core. It's got
Wait, are you trying to tell me that you know more than this guy from the chat? I don't think so, MVG. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with his because
What do you do, MVG? You make games? Are you in the credits of games, MVG?
I don't think so, man. I'm gonna trust that comment.
I'm gonna trust that comment.
Daniel says Gran Turismo 7 and Ratchet and Clank. You think January, February, or March? Reminder: big exclusive Returnal comes in March. So, what's your thoughts?
No.
It's weird that Sony wouldn't even have a February release though, like that.
They do. It's Destruction All-Stars.
It's weird that Sony wouldn't have a big February release though, like that.
They do. It's Destruction All-Stars.
It's weird that Sony wouldn't have. Okay.
I feel like Destruction All-Stars is going to get bumped.
It's going to PlayStation Plus. They're just dropping it right on there. That's that. Like no one's.
No one's gonna buy it.
Dude, I kept forgetting it was coming out. Like I wasn't even thinking about it. So it was that and Godfall. Those are the two I kept forgetting about. I think Gran Turismo 7 might be a second half game now. That's where I'm with that. August. Ratchet and Clank, I still think is coming out first half. I think they're gonna do it. And I think that's everything here. I want to go through Streamlabs as well. But we can go through. Oh, go ahead, Max.
I'm gonna run real quick. It's actually my friend's birthday, and he is texting me drunk, so I'm gonna jump on that call.
Happy birthday, Dreamcast friend.
That's
It's Alan.
That's Max Dreamcast guy. Make sure you check him out on his channel.
Okay, love you guys a bunch. Returnal's gonna be awesome, I think. So hopefully, we'll see.
Just a few over at on the Streamlabs here. We have Shamsa donating 100. Shamsa. Yep, major shout outs to Shamsa. Always appreciated. And we have Liam saying, how successful Ultimate was with their Everyone Is Here marketing, do you think more fighting game developers will take that approach like a Street Fighter or
hell no,
Ultimate, for example? Oh,
it's too much work.
It's a lot of work.
Oh no,
too much work. No way.
OJ, where can they find you, man?
You can find me right here, YouTube Player Essence. Gotta have some pretty cool content coming up, working on some new shows, doing some different things. Got some all sorts of Atlas and a Nintendo and RPG and streaming daily on the channel. So it's been a lot of fun. I want to thank all of you guys. First of all, John, thank you for having me on. Dude, like legit, like 1,000 people plus come over. Like so many people have came over from the channel. So thank you guys for having me on, and thank you guys for coming over from the SpawnCast to check out my channel whenever I stream and stuff. So yes, I appreciate you guys.
Make sure you check out OJ. He's there like 6 days a week. He's got you.
Yeah, I stream about 6 days out of the week. I do. I actually like talking to you guys and hanging out. So yeah, if you guys can come through, that'd be great. We're almost at 70K too. So if we can get to 70K soon, that'd be awesome.
Okay, yeah, go check out OJ. Get him a 70. Awesome. And let's see. Oh, Matthew Hammond says, my niece just got a Switch. What are some good games for a 7-year-old girl? She liked Donut County and Untitled Goose Game.
Damn right, she likes Untitled Goose Game.
Get her the new Paw Patrol. Does she like Paw Patrol?
I think. All right, so 7. Yoshi's Crafted World?
Racing with Ryan. Ryan's toys.
What's that new
Star
cat
Allies?
fighting game?
VG, how dare you?
I like the idea of Yoshi's. I think Yoshi's Crafted World is a good one. It is on the easier side overall for playing it. But what was the other one you mentioned?
I said
Star
Racing
Allies?
with Ryan's toys.
Kirby.
And Nate
Kirby.
got all pissy
Kirby
with me.
Star Allies is a good one too.
Clubhouse Games.
Clubhouse Games is good if you want to like play some of those games together. That's a good one. Yeah.
Better than it. Don't get Racing with Ryan. Don't insult your daughter with that game. That game is bad. That game's really bad.
New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe might work. That's another good one to have because it's all 2D.
Cuphead.
Mario Kart's a good one too. That's fun.
Yeah, Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some non-Nintendo games too.
Let's see. Shinru says, "Hey everyone, looking forward to a new year. What's games is everyone looking forward to the most? I'm definitely can't wait for Persona Strikers and Bravely Default 2. I'll give you another game, by the way. Matthew was Mario Kart Live. Kids are like amazed at this thing.
Ooh.
So
Did anyone see Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing.
I mean, Animal Crossing. Yeah, I mean, Animal Crossing is a good one too. That's a good one to pick up. I like Mario Kart Live, the tour live, because it was a little more like you're actually putting stuff together in the real world too and driving it around. So that the kids are like amazed by that thing. So that's a good one.
Another good thing is Nintendo Switch Online. She can play some Super NES games.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of games there. Yeah, a lot of stuff there. So
Oh my gosh, dude, Nate, stop.
What? You play Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2.
Oh yeah, those are so easy. Those are easy games. They're definitely.
I played them as a kid.
You did. Oh my god, just move on. Let's move on.
I'm going to stick with Ryan. Racing with Ryan.
Taker says, "Do you guys think the Switch will crest 100 million units this year? Seems the Switch Pro is all but assured. Also, will Sony or Microsoft take the crown away from Nintendo in hardware sales this year and break the Switch's streak? I don't think so. I think the Switch could it, because there was word that there was some estimates now that it touched 75 million recently, which would put it right where the 3DS is right now. That means they would have to sell another 25 million in this year coming up. That'd be a lot.
Well, let's see.
I could see 2023 that happening, but I don't know if they'd even produce enough Switches to get there.
2023.
To get to how many is he asking? How many?
I mean, they're at 68 million the end of September. So, I mean, I'd say that if they move 10 million just this holiday, it would put them at 78 million. And then until March, they would definitely move at least another 2 million. So they should easily be over 80 million by the end of March.
So they need 20 million between March and December then?
With a revision launching this year, I'd say they hit 100 million before the end of March 2022.
Okay. That's fine. That'd be good for them. They'd pass the Wii. And let's go to MVG. Where can they find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter at Modern Vintage G and YouTube on Modern Vintage Gamer. I'm back on Monday with my regular schedule of videos this year. Excited. I got a good video in the works, and yeah, looking forward to a busy and awesome year again. And yeah, thanks for having me on, John. And yeah, I'm excited about 2021.
Nice. Monday morning. Check them out. And Shinru says, "Hey everyone, looking forward to a new year. What's games everyone looking forward to the most? I'm definitely can't wait for Persona Strikers and Bravely Default 2.
Right now it's Village, but I mean, I think it's going to change as the year kind of progresses. But
Sure.
The early game for me is Village at the moment.
The Medium.
That's out soon too. That's the one good thing is it's close, you know.
I want to see some previews, Nate. But yeah, I mean, Medium's is definitely up there for me too.
Halo Infinite. It's coming out this year. It's going to happen.
Persona 5 Strikers, Bravely Default 2. Definitely looking forward to those games this year.
Xavier says I played Final Fantasy 7 for the first time early 2020. It became one of my favorite games ever. Beat it 3.5 times now. Some of the messages really hit home for me. Also wanted to say that my PS5 crashed during the final boss of this PS1 game. Fun. Nate, where can they find you?
Find me on YouTube at Nate the Hate. We'll have an episode covering eventually. And also on Twitter at Nate the Hate, followed by the number 2, or on Twitter at DirectFeed Games. You have 3 options. Pick one.
Nate, you need to do more of your solo ones too here and there as you get time. That went well. People liked it.
It's only for certain topics.
I think we're going to get back on our regular schedule here pretty soon. Now that the New Year's in and
New Year's over. MVG is back from his vacation. So now we're going to hit hard. We got big things in 2021. We got big guests, big interviews, big episodes, all on Nate the Hate. And maybe I'll do a solo where I rant about influencers and their
I'd watch
problems.
that.
You just did.
I'd watch it again.
It'll be on the Clips channel.
Damn you, Evan.
Joe says, don't forget the most important game of 2021, Pokemon Unite.
Yeah.
And
gotta talk about that.
Trent says, so I beat Cyberpunk and decided to go back to NC after credits roll. I chose the option to continue playing when it looks asked to send you back to the menu or continue playing. It sends me back to the main menu no matter what option I choose. Any advice? Well, every piece of advice I see online is they just tell you to reload an old save. That's like where we are with this game right now. Otherwise, wait for a patch, I guess, for it. Because like I have so many, all of my save slots on that game are full. Just in case I have to teleport back in time an hour. Seriously, that's where I am with this game right now because some quest lines are broken and won't finish. And I had to teleport back in time to an old save to fix it. It keeps happening, so yeah. Shinru says any PS3 games that should be moved to PS5. I vote Metal Gear Rising and Sly Cooper 1-4. Metal Gear Solid 4.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
I will stick with that.
What do you do with those loading screens? I mean, he has to smoke his cigarette
You leave him in there.
for the full like hour and a
I'm
half.
telling you guys,
Yeah.
those are all good picks. But the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game on the PS3 is freaking amazing, and they need to bring that over to the PS5. Yes, I'm telling you, it's really good. You guys think it sucks, but it doesn't. It's freaking amazing. They need to bring that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure over to the PS5.
I also have another pick, and that's Puppeteer.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah, that one's
That
good.
is a fantastic game.
Come on, how great would that be on the PS5?
That'd be,
awesome.
it'd look visually amazing. Wow, that game would be insane. Since you guys already brought up some good games, I'm gonna say the original Sly Cooper
That's a good
with
pick.
fur effects.
Fur? Oh, okay.
I'm into it.
About Evan, you want to close us out? Where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter, Kimmerx Project. If I'm doing anything, posting, process stuff for the shirt we're working on or anything's going on, I usually post it there. So yeah, just check it out there.
All right, that's gonna do it here.
It's Fall of Man. That's a good pick too.
All right, that's gonna do it here for SpawnCast episode 196. We'll be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. This week, I think everything is going to start getting back to normal for a lot of companies and places. So maybe there'll be more news to go over and all of this. So we'll see what we have then. We'll see you guys next week.
Influencers suck.